Radio check, loud and clear. Apologies for being around 20-30 seconds late. Yeah, we have got rain in Spa, ladies and gentlemen, rain in Spa. So, yeah, we are 45 minutes away from the start of the race. We have got a heavy thunderstorm forecast to arrive around about lap number 10. So, this screenshot that I have up on the screen here, this white dot just above Malmedy, that is where the Spa-Francorchamps circuit is, and just over at the green bit at the top left of the image, you can see these lightning arrows, these not lightning arrows, yeah, lightning symbols or whatever, and you can also see the wind is moving from the top left to the bottom right, carrying the thunderstorm with it. So we have got a thunderstorm arriving around about lap number 10, and yeah, it's good news. It's good news, really. Ideally, we'd want the rain to arrive after the race has begun, because that way we still get a reasonably dry race start, and the FIA can't just cancel the race or postpone the race in advance. They basically, the race has already begun, and that'll make it a lot easier just to continue on and not have any sort of issues. I forgot yesterday, or just had incorrect information on. So I mentioned a few times yesterday that Yuki Tsunoda was using a downgraded setup for the Red Bull car, and that was correct up until the end of the sprint race. So in FP1, in the sprint quali, and in the sprint race, Yuki Tsunoda was running the downgraded version of the car. However, the new team principal at Red Bull said to the mechanics, go into Max Verstappen's reserve parts stockpile, take out a new upgraded version of the floor, and put it onto Yuki Tsunoda's car. Tsunoda then had the upgraded floor, had a little bit more downforce, a little bit more grip, felt a little bit more confident, and managed to put it through into Q3. So I've got to say that was a very, very nice job from Tsunoda, and good on the new team principal at Red Bull for him to come in and say, Max Verstappen, you're a great driver and everything, but sometimes the other drivers also do need some spare part, do need the upgrades. I see why Christian Horner did it and said, "Oh, we're not going to give Yuki Tsunoda the upgrade. We're going to give Max Verstappen the spare parts." And because the fact is that the non-Max Verstappen car at the Red Bull team, may it be Alex Albon, may it be Pierre Gasly, may it be Sergio Perez or Yuki Tsunoda or Liam Lawson, it just crashes way more often than the car that Max is driving. So it makes sense for them just in case to keep the upgraded version of the floor for Max and then have the old version for Tsunoda. But yeah. So Lewis, Alonso and Antonelli, they're all going to be starting from the pit lane, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, all of them will have some setup changes to their car to make it a little bit more suited to the rain. The forecast, they've seen the forecast, they can see this thunderstorm arriving, and Hamilton, Antonelli and Alonso will be totally prepared. They'll bolt on extra downforce because they're like, well, we might as well use it, and that's going to help them out. And the other thing is Hamilton has got an engine change. So, how there's a limited number of engines that can be used throughout the season. Hamilton is going over that quota, but because he's starting from the pit lane, it's all good. So he's taking an engine penalty, essentially, but because he's starting right at the back, there's no sort of issues there. And Sainz is starting from the pit lane as well. Oh, okay, apologies. Yeah, I probably should add that up onto the screen. Yeah, I thought Sainz didn't qualify in 17th or in dead last, so it looks like, let me just change that. I think Sainz was one of the latest drivers just to announce that he's doing a pit lane start. Sainz, I will just double check that though. Yeah. Okay. So those are the drivers starting from the pit lane, and then yeah, it'll be interesting to see which teams went for a more wet setup, which teams went for a more dry setup, because the Hasses were really good in sprint quali because they were in the dry, and in the sprint race as well, they had enough pace to keep up, but they opted, I think, for a much more wet oriented setup that dropped them down from the pack. And the Racing Bulls got promoted because of that. The Haas team was like, oh, we're going to go for a wet setup. We might be a little slow, but we'll take the hit in quali. And then come race day, we'll be all right. Racing Bulls didn't do that so much. And they have got a partial wet, partial dry setup. And, they were good yesterday. And we'll see if they struggle today. Okay. It is not raining as of right now, ladies and gents. The drivers are going out on intermediate sets of tyres there. These are the laps to the grid, the reconnaissance laps. The drivers are getting a feel for the grip conditions. All of the drivers now, they'll be exploring every little nook and cranny of the circuit to work out which curbs have grip, which painted white lines are going to spin you off, and where you can go, where you can't go. So that is what the drivers are doing right now. These are the reconnaissance laps, laps to the grid, as other people call them, but yeah, it's just purely information gathering, and it's also just a sanity check for the teams, making sure that all of the systems on the cars are working properly. Yeah. So Liam, and just to point out, everyone is out on intermediate tyres. It is not raining as of right now. The thunderstorms, the thunderclouds are forecast to arrive lap number 10, lap number 15 or so. Yeah, we're getting the team radios coming through as well, and as you can see, there's going to be huge radio messages saying, oh, this part of the circuit we think is a little wet, this part of the circuit is probably dry, you can get away with pushing a little bit harder, and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled for that. Right, I'm also going to take you through a lap of the circuit, so give me just a second here. I will pull up the lap. I'm going to do a wet lap first because, that's a little bit more relevant as of right now. The other thing I'd like to point out is, normally we talk a lot about wet racing lines being different to dry racing lines, but that is only applicable when the conditions go from dry conditions to wet conditions in the same session, and you've already got rubber deposited on the track. However, we did have rubber deposited on the track through Friday, through Saturday. We had a lot of running and rubber was deposited on the track. However, because of the heavy rain overnight, all of that has been washed off. It's been a totally clean slate, and the drivers can just take the normal racing lines in these wet conditions here. There's no need to go for fancy racing lines going, around the outside in odd places, because all of the rubber that would typically slow you down in the wet conditions has all been wiped away, and it is, totally fine now. So I shall take you through an onboard lap. This is starting way too far early. Okay, here we go. Into La Source you go. Brake at the 100-meter mark here. And the drivers, they'll in fact be starting the race probably in second gear, maybe even third gear. And then you accelerate super duper slowly and try to minimize your wheel spin as well as you go up through Eau Rouge, up towards Eau Rouge, sorry. Then this curb on the left, you can take it in the game. In real life, you can't really take the game. It is a little bit too risky, a little bit too slippery, because a tiny snap and you'll be off into the barriers right ahead of you. So also, we've just got a message from Piastri here. He's been asked what the conditions. He says it's a bit patchy. Some places are completely dry. Others are still a bit damp. Turn 6 is quite wet, and I would struggle on slick tyres. So, it's interesting to see. This is the other thing of Spa. It's the longest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar, but also it's 7 kilometers is the full loop. But this part of the circuit, all the way to here, is pretty much a straight line, and it's 2 kilometers away. So this part of the circuit could be dry. This part could be wet. Piastri has said this bit is wet, and some parts are still dry. So it's going to be a difficult situation for these drivers, and we'll see how it progresses, really. So now you continue up through the hill through Eau Rouge here. You don't really want to be touching these curbs. Stay away from them, ideally. You do have to do a little lift. You probably could go flat in quali if it was wet, but in dry conditions you're going to have, during the race you're going to have an extra 100 kilograms of fuel, and there's no way you're making it flat through Eau Rouge in wet conditions. Then you head towards the Les Combes chicane here, braking around about the 50-meter mark. Don't want to be touching those curbs again. The game isn't as realistic as real life, and these white lines, these curbs will throw you off. Then now you're going downhill. So when you're going downhill here, a lot of the water is just going to be running sort of in your direction, and this is a pretty steep part of the downhill, so you're not going to have very big puddles here, and the drivers can push a little bit harder because of the lack of puddles. Obviously, since it's a steep downhill, the water's just going to run off and it's not going to form a puddle. Yeah, and then you basically hug the inside line here, wait for the car to turn. You know, it takes absolutely ages. It's like a boat in wet conditions. And then again downhill towards Puon. You do have some rivers across the circuit, depending on how heavy the rain is. You do have rivers crossing the circuit, and the drivers do have to do a little momentary lift as they pass over the rivers. Otherwise, there's a chance they could spin out. So, you know, it's all about confidence in the car, knowing where the limit is, but then also being able to judge the conditions properly, because you can know the condition, you can know the limit of the car very well, but if you misjudge the conditions, your limit, your reference point for the limit is totally wrong, and you're probably going to spin out. And then yeah, you just continue on through Stavilo. It's flat through Bonchimont again. In wet conditions, it's a little bit more tricky, and you do have to get the line and the turn in absolutely perfect, but you can do it flat, I think. Yeah, I hold it flat as well through there. And then you just break in a straight line for the bus stop, you know, just don't want to lock up and spin. And that's racing in Spa in wet conditions, ladies and gents. Yeah. Okay. So that's a lap of Spa. We got 34 minutes till the start of the race. Now, what's the ideal tyre strategy here? Well, it depends on the rain, doesn't it? The ideal strategy itself, start the race on the softs, then do 2 sets of mediums. If you can't do that, then you start the race on the softs, do 1 set of mediums, or start the race on the mediums, go on to the hards. The hards, however, are not a good tyre for today. Look at the track temperature, right? Track temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. The hard tyres need at least 40 degrees to be able to warm up to the correct window. And the hard tyres are not as grippy as the softs, as you know, is pretty common knowledge, but especially in low temperature conditions, that difference between the soft and the hard becomes a lot bigger. And yeah, the hard tyres just aren't a feasible choice for today. Right, we got 4,500 people tuning into the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It really does help out the channel. Hopefully we can make our way towards 10,000 likes. That's I think that's the target for today for the race streams, especially in wet conditions. We're going to have a mega race just like Silverstone, and with a thunderstorm approaching, it is good news. So the drivers are out on the track right now to get a feel for the conditions. They do all of this because, you know, the cars are stored in the garage overnight in the pit box, and then the drivers drive out the pit box onto the circuit, do a couple laps, and then they'll park up on the starting grid. We're still 30 minutes away from the race start, so the drivers are coming into the garage. You know, Hamilton is going to be starting from the pit lane, so he will tell the team like, oh, I'm going to need a little bit more front grip here, so maybe add a little bit more front wing angle, or maybe change the suspension settings ever so slightly, because he has the ability to do that. Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli and Alonso, all 4 of those drivers have the ability to make setup changes to their car because they are starting from the pit lane. Also, I do think it is starting to rain right now. Because all of the fans have put on their coats and everything. So small little raindrops as of right now. The track is damp. There are parts that are dry, but given the fact that it started to rain now, I think that's not going to last particularly long. Yeah, Hamilton's just got out the garage. Sorry, Leclerc's just got out the garage, and his visor has got raindrops on it. So that's not from spray from the car ahead or anything. It is raindrops falling from the sky. Okay, F1 Gamer, I'm away with family in Egypt. Streams have been amazing. Thanks, fantastic. Thank you very much. You know, I mean, hope to give you guys as best coverage as possible, ladies and gents. The rain is pretty intense, actually. Pretty intense. Okay. There's no real way I can describe this because everyone has their own sort of perception of intense rain. You know, if you live in a country that has monsoons all the time, intense rain will mean something different to you. If you live in a country that barely gets any rain. So, yeah, basically, it's still looking like intermediate conditions. It's not full wet conditions. At least the rain that we're seeing right now, it is not the kind of rain that's going to force the drivers out onto the full wet. If it gets heavier, which it could, given this thunderstorm that is on the way, then it could be full wets, but right now, because the rain has started to fall 30 minutes before the start of the race, most likely we'll be starting on the intermediate tyres. If it gets even heavier, potentially on the full wets, but as of right now, it is intermediate conditions. Jamlock8850, thanks for the great coverage as always. Stay hydrated, everyone. Thank you very much for the donation, Jamlock. Very much is appreciated, buddy. Yeah, cheers. Okay, F1 Gamer, your predictions. Ooh, well, that's a tough one, isn't it? So, what would my predictions be? I'm going to predict that. So, how many rookies have we got? We've got Antonelli, one rookie, Bortoletto, another, Behrman, another, so that's 3. Lawson, Hadjar, 5, and then Lawson and Hadjar 5, and that's it. And then we're not going to count Fernando Alonso, but out of those, and Colapinto as well, so 6 rookies. I think out of those 6 rookies, 3 of them are going to crash today. That is my first prediction. My second prediction is that Williams is going to get a podium. Bold prediction here, but, back in 2021, George will put together a mega lap in qualifying, second place for him there. Alex Albon, another mega lap from him, albeit, the other cars were just a little bit too far ahead. There wasn't enough... there was no rain to sort of help him out to make the playing field a little bit more level. So 5th position for him. But I have a feeling we're getting a Williams podium today. So those are my 2 predictions. What are your predictions? Let me know. I'll have 44 laps of racing around here in Spa. The circuit is 7 kilometers long, 19 corners to take, and as you can see there, the bottom 4 drivers all starting from the pit lane: Sainz and Hamilton, then Antonelli, then Alonso, and the driver up at front will be Lando Norris. He will have no spray. Everyone else behind him will have a lot of spray. Okay, what's the weather situation? There is intermediate levels of rain, as in intermediate tyres levels worth of rain, and there is heavier rain forecast. Yeah. What happened to Mercedes P19? It's just that Antonelli's got some setup changes to his car for the full wet conditions. They can see this thunderstorm approaching. They're going to put on all of the downforce they can throw onto the car and hope for the best, essentially. We could see a really good drive from Hamilton because he will have a setup much more tailored towards the wet conditions and will also have a fresh power unit for him. So that could mean, he makes his way through the pack. He'll have a little bit more top speed to play with for making overtakes, and it could be a Hamilton masterclass. But equally, it could continue on in the same way that it has been going for Hamilton this weekend, and it could continue quite terribly. I don't think it will be Belgium 2021. The rain as of right now is not that intense for it to be Belgium 2021. And, they also aren't going to repeat that. It's very, very clear, very fresh in the race directors' minds, the fans' mind, the media's mind. They are not going to repeat that huge mess of a Grand Prix weekend. And, they will do something better. I can tell you that. Stroll's inner center is coming. Yeah, I mean, Stroll occasionally in wet conditions has some very, very good results. His driving style is pretty adaptable, and he of course got pole as well at one point in wet conditions. What was it, 2020? Hungary? No, not Hungary. Turkey. Sorry. The 2020 or maybe 2021, but it was 2021, I think. No, 2020, sorry. Yeah, 2020, Lance Stroll got pole position at the Turkish Grand Prix in wet conditions, or in intermediate conditions, I think. So, yeah, Stroll's definitely got some pace occasionally in wet conditions. The question is that pace going to arrive today, or is it going to wait for another appearance later on in the season? Service TV not live today, folks. Just a sort of an update, I guess, for anyone that's using this sort of VPN service to watch Formula One. We've had some issues. I think Service TV wasn't going to be streaming this weekend. It's ORF that streams, so it alternates one race weekend Service TV, the next race weekend ORF. Or if you're new to the channel, what you can do if you want to watch Formula One for only $2 a month, you pay $2 a month for Surfshark VPN. You go onto Google, you join a Swiss VPN server, and you join a Swiss VPN server via Surfshark VPN. You go onto Google, you search SRF, you make an account, you log in, and you can watch Formula One. The commentary is in German, or Swiss German maybe, but yeah, if you don't understand that, then you can just mute the coverage and you can listen to me commentate, but you can still watch the cars go around. So it's up to you guys. There's around 300, 400 people using it right now on the channel. Definitely does work. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out. There's a link in the description. Yeah. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work, you can always get a refund. It's ORF for Austria, SRF for the Swiss server. And yeah, the rain is falling, ladies and gents. It's still pretty intermediate conditions. It's not super duper dry. Super duper wet, shall I say. And 25 minutes away from the race start, we have got all of the tents and the gazebos up, and the drivers are getting ready for the national anthem soon enough, and then we'll be going racing. Is it wet the full race? Well, it depends on this thunderstorm, really. So basically, this thunderstorm is heading towards Malmedy here. This white dot that you can see above Malmedy is the circuit itself. Before this thunderstorm, there is also some minor rain clouds. These are the minor rain clouds that have currently hit the circuit. Around about lap number 10, lap number 15 or so, that's when the thunderstorm's going to hit. And depending on wind conditions and how windy it is, what the wind speed is, the wind is going to, well, blow the thunderstorm away, or it's going to stay over the circuit for the entire race. We don't really know. Currently, you look at the wind speed, it's 4 kilometers per hour, but that's over Malmedy. We're looking at the wind speed of the thunder cloud, and yeah, that's totally different. So, because we're looking at the wind speed on the ground, and the wind speed up in the air is totally different to what it is on the ground. So, we'll just have to wait and see, really. Can't give any predictions, you know. I'm not a weatherman. I have a vague understanding of the weather that I researched for this, and yeah. Okay, another thing to point out here, folks. So on the Belgian Grand Prix circuit here, we are going uphill. So through the bus stop chicane, you go uphill towards turn number 1, or maybe ever so slightly downhill. It's pretty much flat through towards turn number 1. Then it's a huge uphill through Eau Rouge, through Radion, and then you're continuing on uphill towards the Camel Straight. Then this chicane here, the right, then the left, and the right, this is all still uphill. And then this point here, on the exit at turn number 7, that is the highest point of the circuit. Then you continue on downhill quite aggressively, actually. So for this first part of the circuit, all of the rain is going to be flowing backwards. So right at the entry point of Eau Rouge, there's going to be a huge puddle, and we see this quite often. You know, the Belgian Grand Prix organisers also know this. They have quite a significant drain at the bottom of Eau Rouge to get rid of the water as soon as possible. But let's say there is super heavy rain, then there will still be a puddle there. The drivers will have to be aware of that. And then as you go down the hill, you'll have, well, just rivers flowing across the circuit. And that is something that you've got to be super careful of, because it's an easy, very, very easy to just snap the car and off you go into the barriers. I mean, I'll take you through another lap of the circuit, and I'll just point out how close the barriers are in the majority of the lap. Should we do a dry lap? Wait, let me see if this actually works. Okay, the dry lap's working. Let me just test the wet lap. For whatever reason, the wet lap is not working. It's not recording, or it's not playing or something. Right, I'll take you through a dry lap, and then we'll figure out if the wet lap works later. Either way, like, the barriers are still in the same place, so that's the thing that I'm trying to point out anyway. So going into the bus stop chicane, you've got barriers up ahead of you, but you know, if you lock up and aren't able to successfully unlock your tyres, you go straight into those barriers, end up crashing. Down the main straight here, you've got barriers right to the left and the right, and you've got to be careful. Into turn number 1, barrier right there on the apex. You can't send one down the inside, otherwise you'll just get pinched and race over from there. Then you go up the hill. You know, it's very, very narrow at this part of the circuit. Then towards Eau Rouge, the track sort of widens out a lot at this point, and then you continue on. Barriers very far away again.
as you go through Radion, and then Kemmel Straight, very, very narrow. You've got fans all over there on the left-hand side, and yeah, it's great to see. Great place to sit and watch the race. Great place for some overtakes as well. Then into the Reconnaissance chicane here. You've got runoff there on the exit if you go deep into the braking zone. However, on the exit, this third part of the chicane, gravel trap on the left, and you know, off into the gravel in wet conditions. That is straight into the barriers. No coming back from that one. Now downhill braking for turn number 8. You've thankfully got some runoff here, you know, and then there is gravel there on the exit, but you know, you've got to mess up your braking pretty badly to end up in the gravel. Now through No Name Corner, or Jackie X, whatever you want to call it, there is barrier right there on the right hand side. A snap of oversteer, damage your rear suspension, game over, retire from the race. So again, very, very careful for the drivers. Eau Rouge, you know, there's loads of runoff here. You're not going to be going flat. In dry conditions, you could probably pull it off flat in quali, not in race conditions, not in wet conditions, absolutely not. Then towards the Lefangis chicane, you've got a barrier off there, slightly deep, so you can afford to make a mistake there on the entry. However, on the exit, what do you see there? A gravel trap to your right-hand side, and then a barrier about 2 meters away from it as well. So very, very careful. And this is why the drivers love the circuit. There's barriers everywhere. There's gravel traps everywhere. Look at this. I mean, you've got the exit curb, a little bit of AstroTurf, and then gravel. So yeah, the drivers love the circuit. It's raining. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We've got 7,000 people tuned into live stream. Luke, thanks for the donation. How do you think Alex Albon will perform? Well, I predicted that we're going to get a Williams podium earlier on in the stream, and Alex Albon's up in 5th. Science is down in 17th. I think Albon will be the one to get the podium if Williams do get a podium. So that's what I currently think. Alex Albon scoring a podium for Williams. But, you know, let me know what you guys think. Right, and yeah, that's a lap of Spa. Hopefully I can get this wet lap working. I don't know why it's not working, because it was working in yesterday's stream. But, oh, there we go. Okay, it's a wet lap of Spa. Well, we've got 18 minutes. We might as well go through another wet lap. So the game isn't particularly accurate in terms of all of the puddles and where the rivers are, but it gives you a rough idea. As you go up the hill now towards Eau Rouge, you can just see this huge potential for rain to just come down this hill and form a massive puddle. Then you continue on through the Kemmel Straight. Through the Kemmel Straight, there are quite a bit of rivers. So the circuit here is not totally flat. It's slightly tilted towards the right-hand side. So the rain that falls on the left part of the circuit flows towards the right side. And that's why the drivers prefer to pick a line on the left-hand side of the circuit. So the majority of the rain in the water is to the right side and away from the car. Then you continue on to the Reconnaissance chicane here in wet conditions, and stay away from these curbs. They will cause you to spin. And again, gravel trap there on the exit. Got to be super careful on the throttle. Another thing to point out here, whenever you upshift in Formula 1 cars, or in any car, let's say, or motorbike or whatever, you'll always ever so slightly upset your rear wheels when you do an upshift, because the RPM conversion and the torque conversion, the computer will do its absolute best to make sure the torque is the exact same between upshifts and downshifts, but it can never be perfect. And when you're already on the limit of grip, if you do an upshift and the amount of torque bounces up by like an extra 5%, that is you losing the rear of the car, sliding out, having to back off the throttle and losing time. So the drivers will look to minimize the amount of gear shifts that they have. I think around Spa, I mean, I remember this stat from a very long time ago, but I'm probably wrong. I think it's around about 50 gear shifts or so that the drivers go through, 50 to 60 gear shifts around a lap of Spa. And in wet conditions, they're going to be doing a lot less than that. They're going to try and do maybe 40 shifts, 45 shifts or something, just to reduce the amount of occasions that they're upsetting the rear tyres under acceleration, under traction. You go down the hill here, there's puddles off to your left, hug the inside line because the circuit once again is cambered. Then avoid this inside apex because there tends to be a puddle that actually forms on the inside apex because the track is cambered inwards. And Pouhon, as you can see here, you know, you would think that it's cambered inwards, but actually it's cambered ever so slightly outwards, so the water runs off to the right. And you know, these are the things all of the drivers have to be very aware of, and they are really. But in wet conditions, it's not so much being aware of which part of the circuit is cambered to the left or right. You've got to remember every single lap while driving around at 200 kilometers per hour. Where are the puddles? Where are the rivers? Are they getting bigger? Are they getting smaller? Where should I position my car on the next lap? That's what the drivers are thinking about. You know, on the formation lap, you'll see the drivers weaving to the left, weaving to the right, experimenting on some curbs, experimenting on some painted white lines to see where they have grip, where they don't. And that is, and you'll especially see it from the top drivers like Hamilton, like Alonso, like Verstappen, and yeah, they'll be learning everything that they possibly can, because, well, ideally you need all the information you can get in these wet conditions. They are extremely treacherous. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that is it, folks. We are 15 minutes away from the start of the race. Also, if anyone here at the race, if anyone here at the stream is watching from Belgium, oh, apologies, folks. The ads have just gone through. I forgot to block the adverts there. Hopefully, nobody's got any adverts. Yeah, YouTube just loves shoving adverts on your face. I'm doing my best to block them, but occasionally I do miss the odd one. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, if any of you folks are watching the race from Spa itself, if you could send me a photo on Instagram, my Instagram is f1_gamer_5, then if you could send me a photo of what the conditions are looking like, that would be incredible. Yeah, would be good to see what sort of conditions we're looking like at different parts of the circuit as well, because it is the longest circuit on the Formula One calendar. Turn number one, the engineers are all sat here at the pit boxes, and it could be totally dry here. It could be pouring it down at turn number 6, 7, 8, and 9, and the drivers, well, the engineers have to go off the video cameras, let's look at the TV cameras, but to try and work out how wet it is. They have to go off the feedback of the drivers as well. And yeah, it's a tricky guessing game, really. What do you do? What would you personally do? If I told you that Sector 1 was, well, this part of the circuit here, so this left-hand side of the circuit is dry, then this part here is wet, and then this part here is dry, and Pouon is still slightly damp. What do you do? Do you go for the intermediate tyres? Do you go for the slick tyres? If I tell you, oh, there's rain forecast in 5 minutes' time, or if I tell you there's no more rain forecast, does that change your decision? There are so many different factors, and the rain has started to get a little bit more intense. As I said, folks, this thundercloud here that you can see up on the screen that I've put up on the weather radar, this is now approaching the circuit. Before, in front of the thundercloud, there was some light rain that has already arrived at the circuit. It's now getting more and more intense as we get deeper and deeper into the thundercloud, and the full heavy rain is expected around about lap number 10 of the race. Okay. Bring back the slick intermediates. Yeah, that is, if any of you folks watched Formula One back in 2020, when we raced in Istanbul, or maybe 2021 when we raced in Istanbul, what happened was it was a wet race, and the drivers started out the race on inters, but then it continued on raining. It wasn't too heavy, but it was definitely intermediate conditions, and towards the end of the race, the circuit, it stopped raining and it started drying up. But instead of the drivers coming into the pits, what they did, they just continued driving on those intermediate tyres, and all of the tread and the grooves, they all just sort of wore out and they turned into slick tyres, essentially, at least through the middle patch. Towards the edges, it was still, you could still see some of the grooves, but in the middle, it turned into slicks. And it worked well in Istanbul, and that was because the track temperature stayed low. The air temperature was low, track temperature was low, and that is why you could get away with driving the intermediate tyres in drying conditions. If the track temperature suddenly increases, the sun comes out, the rain stops, then the intermediate tyres will wear out like there's no tomorrow, and you'll have to come into the pits within 4 or 5 laps. But if the track temperature stays low, currently it's 23 degrees, that is good enough to continue on with your interslick tyres. If it gets any hotter, let's say 28, 30 degrees, then you do have to switch on to the slicks, otherwise they're going to wear out far too quickly. Is starting in the pit lane a penalty for changing setup? Indeed it is. So the rule is, after qualifying, you're not allowed to change your setup. And if you do change your setup, or if you want to change your setup, you have to start from the pit lane. So Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli and Alonso all starting from the pits. And just for Lewis Hamilton, he has got a new engine as well. So he's taken an engine penalty. He's starting from the pit lane. And yeah, that's the current situation, ladies and gents. Expectations of rolling start. Maybe we will have a rolling start the FIA ideally wants to have just a non-rolling start, a normal start, but they can't always get that, especially in these sort of wet conditions. Maybe we'll have 2 formation laps. That's typically something we see from the FIA, so they can get a little bit more of an accurate gauge of the conditions. The track can also dry up a little bit, which helps out the visibility, which helps out the drivers not spin out immediately. So, yeah. Okay, folks, we are not at the most intense part of the thunderstorm just yet. I've just looked at the weather radar. The weather radar has got different colours. It's got light blue, then it's got green, and then it's got yellow. So the light blue section has already passed over the circuit. We're currently now in the green section of the thunderstorm or the rain cloud, whatever you want to call it. And then the yellow section is still yet to arrive at the circuit. So we have got heavier rain forecast currently. If blue is light rain, green is medium rain, and yellow is heavy rain, we're in the green. 2 wet races in a row, simply lovely indeed. Honestly, racing is going to be incredible. I'm expecting some huge progress through the field from Hamilton and Alonso. I would love to see Hamilton bounce back. He's a very good driver. It may not look like it at Ferrari, his performances haven't been showing that, but in wet conditions and in changing conditions, anything can happen, and it usually does, which means that potentially we have Hamilton making a huge comeback from 18th position. We could have Alex Albon end up on the podium. We could have both McLarens take each other out, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, just as a sort of example of what could happen, we're going through a lap of Spa, and why is the wet lap not working? It just seems to stop working. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on. Alright, let me try the dry lap and then switch to the wet lap. Okay, there's the dry lap, and let me switch to the wet lap. Okay, there you go. So going into turn number 1, the McLarens could get through just fine. And then you go towards Eau Rouge and Radion. They're both sort of in each other's... one of the drivers is going to be behind, and one of them's going to be in the spray. Then you go towards Eau Rouge and Radion. You could have a little twitch from the driver in front. Let's say Norris stays up ahead in the lead. Piastri's following him ever so closely. A little twitch from Norris. Piastri could drive into the back of him. Both drivers lose the control of the car, off into the barrier as they go. That's not just Norris or Piastri. That can happen to any 2 drivers through the field. So they all have to be extremely cautious, aware of their surroundings. But, it's pretty difficult to be aware of your surroundings when you have no visibility in front of you, no visibility behind you. The wing mirrors in Formula 1 cars are absolutely tiny. And, that's the difficulty of driving in wet conditions. We're having a turn 1 moment. Yeah, honestly, turn 1 moment, very, very lightly. If the drivers don't warm up their tyres properly, if they don't warm up their brakes properly, then going into turn number 1, a lockup is so easy. And yeah, and then you're just off into... You lock up, you're off into the driver ahead of you. You go bowling and you knock everyone out the circuit like Bottas in Hungary 2021. It's been done before, so who knows? Helmet wipers, ? No, the drivers are typically going so quickly that the raindrops fall on the helmet and then they just get blown away to the side. They don't need helmet wipers. Right, the most dangerous situation on the track is being near to Stroll. I couldn't put it a little... yeah, that's pretty accurate. I can't find a more dangerous scenario than that one. What setup is Max using? Okay, so the setup that most drivers are using, anyone sort of in the tops, anyone that isn't starting from the pit lane, they are still on a semi-wet, semi-dry setup. They're not fully committed to wet conditions because they did want to do well in quali yesterday. We were looking at the top speeds yesterday in quali. They were slower. They were around 7-8 kilometers per hour slower than what we saw in sprint quali, which was totally dry setups. But if you're going for totally wet conditions, you'd expect to see a loss of 10 kilometers per hour, 12 kilometers per hour in terms of top speed. So yeah, essentially, they're still not on full wet conditions. So there is the drivers who were starting from the pit, Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli, Alonso, they do have an advantage from that perspective. But, top speed is also important to get overtakes done. You can be good through the corners and catch up to the driver ahead of you. But if you can't overtake because you don't have the top speed, then you're still going to stay wherever you are and not make any overtakes. So it's a balancing act, and we'll see how it plays out, really. Is it raining? Yes, it is. Okay, let me just add to the title "Heavy Rain." That usually helps the live stream. Rain. Yeah, honestly, I cannot wait for this race start to happen. We are, what, 5 minutes away now? 5, 6 minutes away. It's not going to be cancelled, folks. The rain isn't that intense. Like, it is what I would still describe as intermediate tire conditions. It is not still yet time for the full wets. And, once we get to full wet conditions, then you sort of get towards the risk of rain. But, yeah. Oh, look at this. They're talking over the radio, actually. They're talking over the radio to Ocon. We don't have a mandated tyre, so it might still be behind the safety car. We'll let you know. So, yeah, they've just said it over the radio, which I don't think they're meant to, but... yeah. Oh, look, they said it's a Carlos Sainz as well, intermediate tyres. So, yeah, everyone is, by the looks of it, talking about intermediates. And Bortoletto's asking about changing the flap conditions, changing the downforce levels. Because, of course, in wet conditions, you want a little bit more downforce, so that we'll see what happens there. So then, yeah, they're talking about radio forecasts, weather forecasts and stuff like that. We'll just wait and see what happens. Risk of rain, 100%, surprise, surprise. Formation lap will be started behind the safety car, ladies and gentlemen, behind the safety car. So it's not going to be... and we've got the tyre information come through as well on the screen. I shall get rid of this weather radar. Oh, actually, I'll just make it smaller for now. We're still a couple of minutes away from the start of the race. But yeah, everyone's starting the race on inters, as expected. There's heavier rain expected later on. It's going to momentarily stop and then apparently start again. But who knows? It's all a bit of a guessing game. Okay. So, yeah. What else have we got going on? Oh, I've got someone's messaged me on Instagram on F1_game_5. That's my Instagram. And someone's messaged me. I'm watching the race from turn number 9. Heavy rain over there. Well, turn number 9 is over here. This no-name corner, in fact, and heavy rain there. It's good news, really good news. You made a spelling oopsie. Where have I made a spelling mistake? Where have I made a spelling mistake? I don't know. The title. Oh, heavy race. Oh, okay. Oops. Yeah, I noticed. Okay, I see that. I see now. I called it a heavy race instead of heavy rain. Yeah, clearly not. Clearly a little bit too excited for what's about to happen. 44 laps of racing around here in Spa. The lap times in wet conditions, I expect we'll be seeing around about 1 minute 50 something, 55. It all depends on how wet it is, and we'll get a feel for that as soon as it starts. It's a heavy race. Indeed, it is. It's going to be a heavy race for sure. It's going to be very, very exciting. Okay. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Folks, what are your predictions? Who do you think is going to crash? I think that 3 of the 6 rookies are going to be crashing. So, yeah. Okie dokes. Pierre Gazi in the chat says, I'm going to win. Well, maybe you are, Pierre. 13th position for you. However, I think you're running a little bit more of a low downforce setup, a bit more of a quali style setup. I can't remember exactly, but I think that's what you were doing yesterday, which doesn't bode well, if I'm being totally honest. Okie dokes, we have got 17,000 people watching the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We are 1 minute 45 seconds away. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Hopefully we can hit 2,000 likes before the race even starts. And yeah, look forward to commentating this race for you guys. If you're here for the Silverstone Grand Prix, it's going to be more of the same. I'm going to hopefully get very, very excited because the race is going to be absolutely mega. Yeah, can't wait really. Cannot wait. I think I'll also turn on slow mode on the chat as well. Can you show a lap about the circuit? Indeed, I will. Also, folks, I've seen a couple of chat messages asking about me to change my mic volume, except I've seen half the chat messages ask me to increase it and half the chat messages ask me to decrease it. So I think it's a reasonable volume if half the people are asking it to go down, half the people are asking it to go up. So apologies if you guys can't hear it properly. Yeah, I think it's fine for the majority of the people. Okay, here we go then. 45 seconds left to go. And, okay, let me get rid of this weather forecast, and I'll take you through a lap of the circuit. Actually, I'll take you through a lap of the circuit while the drivers are doing their formation lap. We'll have 35 seconds to go. The formation lap will be behind the safety car, and then the safety car will come into the pits. We should have a standing start, but this is up to change, subject to change. The FIA, halfway through the lap, the drivers over the radios, you'll potentially see them start complaining, oh no, I don't have enough visibility, oh no, I have no grip, and then the FIA may say, we're going to do a rolling race start, but it's currently not decided. Yeah, that is the current situation of things in Spa-Francorchamps. Okay, so the timer has just ticked over to 0. We are having, let me get rid of this, and yeah, we're getting Lando Norris. The safety car leads the way firstly, the Aston Martin safety car. Then we'll have Lando Norris leading away, then Piastri, then Verstappen, then Albon, and then the rest of the field. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 20,000 people tuned in. This is going to be an absolute mega race. Strap yourselves in, buckle up your seatbelts, grab some popcorn. Well, grab the popcorns before you buckle up your seatbelt, otherwise you're not going to be able to grab it. And yeah, get ready for an absolutely mega race here in Spa-Francorchamps. The spray is pretty big, as is expected, really. But the drivers, let's have a look at the visibility here. Oscar, any feedback on the visibility as you're up the hill? And yeah, even before the route, before Eau Rouge, it's terrible. I couldn't even see Lando then. Understood, can't see Lando up the hill. This is what I'm saying. Oscar Piastri in second position, cannot see Lando Norris ahead of him, who's the only driver. Piastri's only got one driver's worth of spray in front of him. Imagine Gabriel Bortoleto in 10th place. He's got 9 drivers worth of spray ahead of him. The visibility is going to be terrible, but it always is in wet conditions. If Lando Norris even backs off the throttle ever so slightly, Piastri could go into the back of him. Game over for both McLarens, and Max Verstappen's partying because he's just got a bunch of points for the championship. So I guess we'll see how that goes down. Currently, if we're just looking at the Drivers' Championship there, I've got it up there on the bottom right of the screen. Let me just move that up ever so slightly. But as you can see there, we have got... I'll put the team radios back up in a sec. I'll just go through the championship standings. Starting procedure suspended. What is this? They've just come over race control and said starting procedure suspended. Oscar Piastri 241 points, Lando Norris 232, Max Verstappen 173. So it's quite a few points. Oh, red flag. No! What? The rain isn't that heavy. Oh no. Oh, what? Okay, well, it looks like we've got a red flag, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really hope that they're not going to repeat Spa 2021. But Norris is saying that he can see all right because, oh yeah, obviously he's got a little bit of spray off the safety car, but apart from that, it's all good. But everyone else is like, oh, the spray is terrible and everything, and... Fair enough, but it's still intermediate tyre conditions. Everyone's out on the inters. Nobody's talking about going to the wets. We've raced intermediate conditions before. So just do a rolling race start, man. Certified FIA moment, I've got to say. Okay, well, as soon as we get a message of when the race is going to restart, I'll put a timer up. Normally, it's a 15-minute delay, so I'm going to add 15 minutes to the clock, and I'll have that up on the screen. I'm just going to add race hopefully starts in, because we don't know for certain, but typically it's a 15-minute delay, and then we go out racing again, so I shall stick that up on the screen. But I really don't know what's going to go down here in Spa-Francorchamps today. Yeah, back into the pits we go. Must be the water, indeed. It must be the water. But the thing is, with the red flag, the FIA does have to tell the teams, is it okay to use the tents? Okay, so I don't know if any of you guys have been watching the actual footage on the screen, but the teams have these sort of tents or like gazebos, whatever you want to call them, that they put on top of the cars to stop them getting wet, to stop the drivers getting wet, to stop the seats getting wet, and all of that stuff. If the FIA come over race control saying you're allowed to use that, then typically the red flag is going to last a little bit longer, like probably 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe. But if they don't come over race control and say this is what's allowed, then what is going to happen is that we're probably going to go racing in 10 minutes time. So I'm waiting for that message over race control to see what they say. But yeah. No tents have been put on top of cars right now. They've just got umbrellas covering the drivers to stop them getting wet. But apart from that, no tents have been put out. And also, it makes no sense from the FIA for them to not go racing because there is more intense rain in about 10, 20 minutes time, I think. That's what the forecast said at least an hour ago. That's probably changed right now. But because they've done that and they've stopped us going racing, the circuit's not going to get any drier. It's just going to get wetter and wetter and wetter, which is just like most certainly worse. Yeah, must be the rain, must be the water. So I don't really know what's going on. Verstappen's still sat in the car. A lot of the drivers still sat in the cars. They're not getting out and they're not getting ready to go. They're not getting out and they're not waiting, right? They're not like, I need to go, I need to wait for 1 hour before the race starts. So everyone's still currently sat in the pits. F1 Gamer, please explain what happened. The FIA went out, did a formation lap behind the safety car. All the drivers over the radios were complaining about the visibility, and then we got a red flag. Yeah. So just FYI, folks, we do get a 10-minute warning from race control when the red flag's going to end. So clearly it's not starting in 8 minutes time because otherwise we would have got the 10-minute warning. So I'm going to knock that timer up. But race control, as always, being super untransparent or opaque is the correct word. But yeah, they're not telling us what's going on. They're not saying, oh, we're considering wet conditions or whatever. So Verstappen's getting out of the car, Tsunoda's getting out of the car. So yeah, everyone's waiting for the 10-minute warning, but still they haven't put the tents up. If they put the tents up, that's like an hour delay. So as of right now, it is a red flag conditions. We're just all waiting in the pit lane, ladies and gents. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to put it onto slow mode. Well, to be fair, we've only got 20,000 people here. I'll put it up. Once the race starts again, I'll put slow mode on. Alrighty then. They asked Lando Norris over the radio, Lando, is the issue visibility or standing water? And the issue is visibility. Standing water is not a problem because the circuit has got so much elevation change. The water sort of just runs off to the left. It runs off to the right. It's not an issue. The bigger issue is the visibility, the lack of not being able to see stuff. Do just put out the wet tires. Yeah, well, you can put the wet tyres on and the drivers aren't going to spin out, but that is not the problem. Again, if the drivers can't see where they're going, how are they going to drive? They can have the best wet tyres that have been manufactured in the history of the universe, but if they can't see where they're going, I don't see how they're going to go racing. Yeah, can we go back to the crazy wet race starts from history? Well, the biggest crash in Formula One history, the biggest, most expensive pile-up crash, whatever you want to call it, was the 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, or maybe 1988 Belgian Grand Prix, one of those two, where they started in wet conditions, and then going through, which corner was it? I'll show you on the replay here. Yeah, the drivers were just going through this part of the circuit. Yeah, exactly here. The driver, I think, in like second place, loses control, hits the barrier on the right hand side, then bounces off the barriers from the right towards the left, takes out 3 drivers behind him. Then there's another huge pile up, and yeah, it's all a huge crash. So essentially, that's what happens when you're out in pouring wet conditions. Nobody can see what's going on. Nobody has any grip. And they didn't really want to repeat that. Yeah, 1998. Okay. Can you take us through another lap while we wait? Yeah, sure. I mean, do you guys? I don't know if I could do this, but I could probably play some F1 trivia games or something. Where awnings may be used. They've just come over race control and said, oh, you guys are allowed to use your tents. You guys are allowed to use your tents. Oh my god, what is race control doing? Yeah, the tents have just come up over the pit lane. Well, the FIA have just said that they're allowed to use them, which means that it's like a 30-minute delay. So let me change the clock here, folks. Yeah. They've just brought the tents out, and they're expecting heavy rain in 9 minutes. They've just come over the radio to Albon, expecting heavy rain in 9 minutes. See, the FIA, like, I have a message for you guys. You know, if we were racing right now, or if we were even behind the safety car for, say, 3 laps, all of the water on the circuit would have been shifted over to the left, to the right-hand side. Visibility would have improved about 4 or 5 times, and then we could go racing. But now that we're sat in the pits, and we've got heavy rain approaching in 9 minutes, the conditions and the visibility are just going to get worse and worse and worse, and then you're going to repeat Spa 2021. Like, it's like they learned absolutely 0 lessons whatsoever. Yeah, because just lost for words really. I expected them to learn from 2021, because 2021 was a real big blunder. Like, all of the fans that I think there were what must have it been, like 120,000 fans there on race day, come to watch the race, and what did they get? 3 laps behind the safety car, and they don't even get a refund as well. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The F3 race was cancelled. Indeed, it was. The F3 race was cancelled. But that was cancelled firstly because of a lack of visibility, but also standing water as well. The F3 cars don't have as good wet tyres as the Formula 1 cars do, which means that, yeah, standing water is a bigger problem for them. For Formula 1, it's not so much an issue because the tyres are much wider. We've got much bigger tyres and stuff like that. But for the F3 cars, it's a bit more of a problem. Here, it's purely down to visibility. It is, once again, I'd like to reiterate here, folks. It is not a wet tyre or intermediate tyre problem. It is a visibility problem. The drivers can't see ahead of them. And that is the issue. F1 Gamer, would they postpone the race? Dang, I think all the fans got to stay up to watch now. Is the delay time confirmed? No, that's why I said the race hopefully starts in 22 minutes. I don't really know. I've increased the delay time to 35 minutes now from when the race was actually meant to start. And yeah, that sort of lines up with what we've seen in the past, but given the fact there's heavy rain expected in 6 minutes now, 5 minutes now, I don't really know. And looking at the, I'm sure it's different from the driver's eyes perspective, but looking at the cameras, the drivers can still sort of see what's going on. Like, yes, you can't see 100 meters down the straight because there's a bunch of water in the air. However, you can see to the left of you, you can see to the right of you, you can see about approximately 10, 20, 30 meters ahead. If you look away from the spray, so sort of off at an angle, if you look off at an angle towards the left, off at an angle towards the right, you can see and you still have visibility. But of course, it's a safety call. The FIA, it's their job to keep the drivers safe. So, yeah, I can sit here and complain as much as I want, but it doesn't change the fact that the drivers can't see where they're going. We should play like F1 Kahoot or something while we wait. Yeah, I mean, I could I could load up a set of F1 trivia questions on my phone, and then you guys could just answer them in the chat. Yeah, let me just load up some F1 trivia questions, and then we'll go from there. Really, F1 trivia. Let's see what comes up. But I'll go based off my random knowledge. Which driver and at which Grand Prix was a driver accused of doing a false start because he started within 0.02 seconds of the light going out? I don't know. Maybe you guys know that. Maybe you don't. It was Valtteri Bottas. But at which Grand Prix? Which circuit was it? And which year? Yeah, I think, Valtteri Bottas 2017 Australia. Yeah, I think it was 2017 Australia. Bottas has done it on a few occasions as well. I think he did it in Japan as well. He did it once, not Australia, sorry, Austria. And then he did it once in Japan as well. So, 2 times, yeah. Valtteri Bottas, some very good race starts from him in the past. Let's see. How many engine failures or engine-related DNFs did Daniel Ricciardo suffer in the 2018 season at the Red Bull team? Yeah, he had a pretty bad luck with that Renault engine. I think, how many was it? 8. Yeah, 8, I think it was. 8 was the right number. I think some of them weren't technically engine, they were gearbox, but regardless, it was a technical issue with the power unit, and 8 engine failures in a season where we had, I think, 20 circuits where we weren't racing at, or maybe 21. So 1/3 of the races in the season, Daniel Ricciardo had engine failures. Absolutely terrible luck for him. Enable snow mode. Yeah, I should probably do that, actually. Oh, it looks like we're getting a momentary pause in the rain. Okay, so folks, weather update. So we are getting a momentary pause in the rain that is going to happen in around about 5 minutes time or so. And then after 5 minutes time, we'll get more rain again. But if we go racing within those 5 or 10 minutes or so, when it's not raining itself, then there's potential to continue on. So I guess we'll see. Can you add the driver radios back up? Yeah, sure. Apologies. Let me get those up. Just a bunch of radio messages from Oscar Piastri, essentially. Alrighty then. Finally, slow mode. Yeah. Can we get a weather map? I haven't got an up-to-date weather map, actually. Let me get an up-to-date version of the weather map here, folks. Give me just a second. I'll pull that up for you, and then we can and then we'll go from there. Where is it? Rain and thunder. Yeah, the rain's basically sort of avoiding the circuit now, by the looks of it. Yeah, let me just get a screenshot. Snipping tool. And there we go, and I'll just save that. Okay. As the weather radar on the internet aren't as accurate as the ones on the at the circuit themselves. They've got the full sort of systems there. But what is going on here is this thunderstorm that's off to the left is now sort of going downwards. It's sort of avoiding the circuit. We're just going to get the very edge of the thunderstorm or the thundercloud hitting the track. Apart from that, it's going to stay relatively dry. This thunderstorm that was expected to hit is ever so slightly missing the circuit. Yeah. Right, let's come up with some more questions. Okay, well, this is an easy one. In what race was there a collision between Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel, and Kimi Raikkonen in wet conditions? I think that should be pretty straightforward. Let's think of some more questions. Singapore 2017. Indeed, Singapore 2017. Which team was accused of using, or not which team was accused, which team was found guilty of using an automatic brake balance shifting system for their drivers? I think that's the best way I can describe it. Basically, between corners, the car itself would automatically change the brake balance for the drivers in between corners. And no, I don't think a lot of you right. It was Renault. Yeah, Renault actually. Mercedes had DAS, Mercedes and McLaren also. I don't think they ever had that. At least I'm talking about recent history here, like 2019. Not ages ago. Maybe ages ago that was true. But it was Renault in 2019, I think, that was accused of automatically shifting brake balance for the drivers as they were going through corners. And they turned out to get, I think they got a pretty big fine for it, actually. So, yeah. From which race back in the old, not the old, just back in the 2010s, shall we say, which circuit and at which race did we have the iconic radio quote, Fernando is faster than you? Yeah. Again, folks, weather radar, it should dry up, like it should stop raining momentarily, and then we should go back out. So I'm expecting a 10-minute warning at some point from the FIA. It was Germany. It was Hockenheim. However, I think it was 2010. I think some people said it was 2012, but I think it was 2010 where we got that one from. Where we got that one? Yeah, 2010. Very nice. Fernando's faster than you. Let's see. Let's go back. At which Grand Prix did Mika Hakkinen stall his McLaren and ended up losing the World Championship because of it? Like his title hopes were over because he stalled his McLaren at a certain Grand Prix, and then he was out and couldn't take part. Which year and which circuit? It was Monza. I think it was Monza, if I remember correctly. It was the Italian Grand Prix 1998, I think, because he won the championship in 1999, if I remember correctly. So he kind of lost his title hopes because he won it that year. So 1998 Monza, yeah. Maybe he did do it in 2000 as well, but I'm not aware of 2000. And look at these lovely radio messages here. Charles Leclerc's got oversteer at turn number 80 and understeer at turn number 80 and oversteer at turn number 90. Incredible scenes, really incredible scenes. We've got 19,000 people watching the stream. Thank you everyone for tuning along and listening in to this F1 Gamer podcast, essentially. Oh, Mika won in 1998 and 1999. Okay, so I guess it must have been 2000 then, when he stalled his McLaren. So I do apologize. Yeah, I started watching Formula One in 2018, so don't remember everything perfectly. Is that a bug? Yeah, it's a glitch in the system. I don't know why. The glitch has been in the system ever since I've started using it, but yeah, I think it's a nice little classic glitch, really. Okay. Let's see. Is there any more Spa specific trivia questions that I can think of? Which driver did Michael Schumacher crash into that lost him an entire wheel at the Belgian Grand Prix in wet conditions, and he had to drive back to the pits with 3 wheels? Which driver did Michael Schumacher crash into, or which driver crashed into Michael Schumacher, depending on whichever way you want to put it? David Coulthard. which driver has got the earliest penalty in their career? So which driver, and how long did it take them into their Formula One career to get a penalty? Yeah, that's which driver and how long did it take as well? Yeah, it's Vettel. Vettel is the correct answer. But how long did it take Vettel to get that penalty? And yeah, 6 seconds. 6 seconds. That is correct. Sebastian Vettel, as a test driver with BMW Sauber, came out of the pit lane, came out of his garage into the pit lane, forgot to press the pit lane speed limiter, exceeded the speed limit, and got a penalty 6 seconds into his Formula One career. Yeah, kind of mind blowing, really. Right. Yeah, unfortunately, folks, the race still not starting in 10 minutes' time. I'm going to have to knock that timer up even more. I mean, I guess they're waiting for the circuit to sort of dry up, but the rain is stopping. They know that, so they might as well send the cars out now so the circuit dries up a little bit. And then once it dries up, we can actually go racing. So yeah, like the tracks can sort of the cars will drive on the circuit. They'll push all the water to the left and the right off the racing line. Then we can actually go racing. F1 Gamer, what setup is Max on? Max is on a sort of half wet, half intermediate, half wet, half dry setup. Everyone pretty much in the top 16 is all on a half wet, half dry setup. The drivers in the bottom 4, they're all on a full wet. Yeah, Pierre Gasly is just there, he's shaking his head a little bit, just like being like, what? Like, why are we waiting here? Max Verstappen's waiting, and he's having some fun with his mechanics. Silent Mindset, why only the lives and no videos? We would definitely support. Well, personally, I've got to sort of tell this. I don't know how many of you guys know, but I study engineering at university, and that takes quite a lot of time to like study and just do a lot of work for that, essentially. So I don't have loads of free time to make videos. But essentially to make a live stream, right, for 1.5 hours, it takes me, let's say, 2 hours, half an hour of prep beforehand, and then for 2 hours I'll commentate, and it only takes 2 hours of my day. Whereas if I was to make a video, it takes sort of like 6 hours to make a properly good video, and that video will only be 10 minutes long. So that's why I tend to do live streams. I have put a new video up on my channel. I say new, but the video was like 3 years old, but I just took it down on my channel for some reason, but I put it back up again. It's just a meme video of all of the iconic team radio clips. It's called Learn the Alphabet with F1 or something. Around 300 people have watched it after I re-released it. So, we've got 20,000 people watching here. You're all waiting. Might as well go over, click on the F1 Gamer channel, and then it'll be this. There's only 2 videos on the channel anyway, so you go ahead and watch that while we're waiting. It's only a 2-3 minute video, and we're definitely not going racing in 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's if I add the Kahoot music, the stream will get copyrighted and that'll be game over. Lawson has said, now what now? Now what now? Clearly Lawson wants to go racing. All right. Also, just like to point out, any of you folks that do want to watch the Grand Prix and are waiting for the race to actually start, and want to watch the actual graphics of the cars going around on the track, not the graphics, the actual footage, then what you can do is you can get Formula One for $2 a month, get Surfshark VPN, join a Swiss VPN server via Surfshark VPN, and that's the thing you have to pay $2 a month for, and then you go onto Google, you search SRF, and then you can watch Formula One Grand Prix. The commentary is in German, so obviously if you don't understand German, you don't watch it. You don't listen to it, but you can still watch the cars going around the circuit, and you can listen to me commentate. And I think that's pretty good. Yeah. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and check that out. And if for whatever reason it doesn't work for you, you can go ahead and get a refund. Fun fact, in 1997, final race, Michael Schumacher deliberately hit Jacques Villeneuve in the final race to win the championship. All good, race of a dirty side. Yeah, I mean, folks, if you have any interesting fun facts, some obscure facts that you 100% know are correct, but you think are pretty obscure, go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'll read out the ones that I can read in time. This track's going by pretty quickly. Does it work with other VPNs? Yeah, you can use other VPNs. It's just the channel sponsors, Surfshark channel sponsors this channel, so that's why I say Surfshark, but you can use anyone. Are you German? No, I'm British. You know, I maybe you can tell from my accent, maybe you can't. But yeah, from the UK. Fun fact: we all love your commentary. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh, another fun fact. Max Verstappen has won 12 sprint races in Formula 1 history. Of course, there haven't been that many sprint races. And every other driver combined put together has only won 9, I think. So, yeah, Max Verstappen dominating sprint race wins. Let's see. Fun fact. Alan Prost outscored Senna by 11 points in 1998, but was forced to drop a bunch of second places and ended up 3 points behind due to a stupid rule. Oh, I did not know that, actually. Interesting. I don't know what that rule was, but maybe I'll have a look into that later. F1 Game, have you seen P1 with Matt and Tommy anytime? I don't watch their videos. However, Matt, when he was with WTF1, that was actually the first video that got me into Formula 1 itself. I don't know, it was some video during the 2018 season, and because of that, I looked up the schedule of Formula 1. It happened to be a race weekend. It happened to be the Belgian Grand Prix, in fact. So this is a 7-year anniversary of me watching Formula 1. I think that's pretty cool. And yeah, so Matt actually got me into watching Formula 1, and I think that's pretty nice. When is the race starting? Oh my god, race control, please give us some information. Like, don't just leave us hanging here, man. Yeah. What team do you support? I'm a Seb Vettel fan, as you can see here on my background. Let me just oh wait, yeah, you can probably see here from my background that I've got a background of Seb Vettel. That number 5 helmet, Seb Vettel from Singapore 2018, his final win in Ferrari. Yeah, so yeah, I'm a Seb Vettel fan, so I'm not really supporting anyone right now. F1 Gamer, Vettel had an accident before making it to F1 where he almost had a finger amputated. Oh, I did not know that, actually. You know, full-on Seb Vettel fan. I even know when Seb Vettel's birthday is. Seb Vettel's birthday, I think, is the 3rd of July or something. But no, I did not know that actually. He had an injury just before joining Formula 1. Okay. What does the radio chat mean? The radio chat is it's just messages between the drivers and the engineers. If you see a message that says I've understeer turn 80, oversteer turn 90, that's a glitch. But apart from that, all the team radio messages are what the drivers are actually saying. The chat is going by so quickly here. Hey F1 Gamer, why can't the full wet tyres be used? It can displace 80 litres of water per second. That is correct. The issue is that it can displace 80 litres of water per second, but then it sprays that 80 litres of water right into the air, right into the driver behind, which means they have no visibility. And then the driver in second sprays even more water back into the driver in third. You go backwards and backwards and backwards, more and more and more and more spray, and you don't get a race. No one has any visibility, and that's what it is. Only the best 9 or 11 results counted towards championship points, so if Prost won 9 times and finished 5th twice, the 2 5th places would be dropped. Oh, that is really strange, actually. What a terrible rule. Yeah. Did you know, I've just missed a... Does the 2-hour timer start with the formation? I think the 2-hour timer starts with the race start, not the formation lap. Yeah, with like the lights out, that's when it happens. Or was there a time when the race was cancelled? Yeah, Spa 2021. They've currently got a tractor driving up and down the circuit, pushing water off to the right-hand side. But, you know, this is what I'm saying. A tractor pushing water off to the left and right side. You've got 20 Formula 1 cars all generating 4-5 tons worth of downforce, sucking the air, sucking the water to the left and the right hand side. You could have just had the cars go out behind the safety car for 3 laps. 3 laps behind the safety car. It would have cleared up all of the water and we could have gone racing. Yeah. F1 Gamer, you into cricket? I occasionally keep up, as a Brit, I occasionally keep up with the Ashes. I think India are playing England in some Test match series right now, but I haven't really seen much about that. I just know that they're playing each other. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, we've got quite a big fan base from India. I think 9% of fans. Or 9% of people watching the stream are from India. So let me know how the Test series is going. Or maybe it's finished already, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah, we've still got 19,000 people watching the stream. Honestly, thank you everyone for sticking along. I'm quite blown away that I'm managed to entertain you guys, entertain 20,000 people while nothing is going on the circuit. Yeah. Okay. F1 Gamer as the FIA president. Honestly, F1 Gamer definitely FIA president. That's what should happen. Also, folks, I've got a nice T-shirt design coming through for the Belgian Grand Prix. Let's see. Oh, it's transparent. This is not going to work properly. Give me a second. Let me get this design up on the screen properly. Yeah, a little bit of a faff here to get this design up on the screen. It's just it's got so many pixels, it doesn't actually fit on the screen. I have to zoom out so many times before it actually fits. I should probably put this on a black background and then you can actually see it properly. But this is going on the back of a t-shirt, probably a white t-shirt, given there's a black section of the Belgian Grand Prix flag. But this merch is going to come out. Well, I'll just give you a better image, actually. I'll show you the one for Imola. Yeah, it's going to be like this, but it's just going to have the Spa circuit, and it's going to have the Belgian Grand Prix track on it and all of the facts about that. So, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. The merch should be coming out at the end, at the start of the summer break. So the end of the summer break, the first race back, that's when the merch will be out. Currently I'm ordering samples for this merch, so I'm going to order the samples, make sure they're all good quality before they get shipped out to you guys. And I'm also going to be pretty transparent with how much money I'm going to make. I'm going to make, I think, $10 per shirt in terms of profit, and then the rest of it is actually the cost to the shirt. I'm not going to rip you guys off, charge like $50 for a shirt or whatever it is. So yeah, $10, I think like €8 or €7 or something, and the rest is all for you guys. It's not going to be that expensive. I think it goes to £20-ish or £18, €21, something like that, because and then you do have to pay for delivery, because I'm not like Amazon or anything. I'm not going to be able to ship stuff around the world for free, next day delivery kind of stuff. So yeah, but that's sort of because the problem with F1 merch is so expensive. Like, just buying a simple, like, plain Ferrari shirt with the Ferrari badge and maybe Charles Leclerc written on the back is like $50 or something. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, essentially, I'm not going to rip you guys off, because I personally wouldn't buy a shirt that's $50, hence the fact that I've got no Formula 1 merch. The only Formula 1 merch I have got, actually, is some stuff Alfa Romeo sent me for free back in 2021, I think, when Kimi Raikkonen was retiring in 2021. They had some special like stuff going on, and they sent me some free merch. So I have an Alfa Romeo hoodie and a t-shirt, but yeah, I got that for free. So yeah, I haven't actually bought any F1 merch. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure the t-shirts are good quality. Like, I'm actually gonna buy it, and it would be something that I would be happy spending my money on. Like, I'm not gonna, yeah, essentially not rip you guys off. F1 Gamer, yeah. Now, shut up and take my money. Well, yeah, if you like the designs, then why not? I've got another one that I've got for George Russell, but I'm going to be making one for all of the drivers. So this is a George Russell one, nice T-pose t-shirt, and then there's a Max Verstappen one as well. And I made a Nico Hulkenberg one, but I don't think I ever exported it. Yeah. Still, folks, I don't. This timer. What are they doing? The rain has stopped now. I'm pretty sure, and we're still not going like. Oh my god, the FIA. I mean, I'm enjoying this podcast here. We've got 20,000 people listening, to a live podcast, which is kind of mind blowing. But yeah, I am not pleased with the way things are going here. Let me get rid of this, go back and put the weather radar up because that's a little bit more important right now. Where have I put the weather radar file? Here we go. Oh, that's tiny. Fantastic. Yeah, this okay, I might actually just stick this timer up to like 20 minutes or 25 minutes because I really have no idea. Okay, let's go for a full hour of delay. Currently, it's been delayed 40 minutes. Hopefully, we get going in another 20. Also, folks, if you have any sort of design ideas of what you would like the t-shirts to look like, then be sure to send them to me on Instagram. My Instagram's f1_gamer_5. And yeah. Also, if you're not following me, go ahead and follow me. I post some random behind the scenes stuff. And yeah. Yeah, 19 minutes. I mean, 19 minutes is... oh, did I stop the timer? Why is it stopped? Stuff is all glitching out today. Oh, it's because I... there we go. A full hour of delay. Very nice. Yeah, 19 minutes, hopefully, till we go racing. F1 Gamer, do you do an Oz Grand Prix design? Yeah, I'll be doing one for all of the circuits. It just takes a while, to get all of the designs made with all of the circuits sort of like going outwards. So it takes a little while, but I'll have all of the circuits. I'll be doing some circuits that aren't also on the calendar, like the Nürburgring Grand Prix, Magny Cours in France. I'll probably do Malaysia as well. So yeah, let me know. How do you watch the race for free? Well, I can't tell you for free, but for $2 a month, you can get Surfshark VPN. Link in the description. You join a Swiss VPN server, go onto Google, search SRF, and then you enjoy watching Formula One. The rain, which was previously stopped, has now started again, and now it's got heavier. Surprise, surprise. Like, you can see this thunderstorm here. You had a moment when it wasn't raining, and what did you do? You just left it to go to waste. Like, oh my god. Folks, if you haven't hit the subscribe button and haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. Really does help out the channel. Yeah, kind of losing my sanity here. I apologize if I'm getting a little bit too frustrated. Yeah, clearly just a little bit bored as well. All right. If you guys have got any more trivia, let me know in the chat. I'll carry on reading some through. Make a Kailami shirt, why not? Yeah. F1 Gamer, who has an all-rain based setup? Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli, Alonso. They have a full wet setup. Everyone else has a half wet, half dry setup. So yeah. Okie dokes. Oh, also, I still can't figure out a proper brand name for this, like, merch that I'm going to make, because it's not going to be called F1 Gamer merch. I'm probably going to call it, like, Project Velocity or something, but I still can't think of a good name. So if you guys can think of a good name, be sure to let me know. And, if I end up picking a name that I like, then I'll figure out a way to get in contact with you, and I'll send you a free shirt. So yeah, let me know if you've got any cool name ideas for a Formula One or a motorsport t-shirt brand. But yeah, I really lost for words. I'm not the most creative person. As you know, I do engineering, so pretty good at maths and stuff like that. But creativity, not my strong suit. Kyle, smart flashback to 2021. Indeed it is. I do, yeah. I genuinely thought the FAA would have learned from their mistakes and they would have sent the drivers out. That's all they needed. 3 laps behind the safety car. They would have cleared up all of the visibility issues and we could be racing right now. But no, the FIA are just a bunch of morons. I don't know. Project Downforce, pretty good. Project Stroll. Slipstream. Oh, Slipstream could be pretty cool, actually. Is the timer right? No. That's why it says hopefully. Yeah. This is what I'm hoping for from the FIA, that they just have a 1 hour delay and then we can go racing. But I don't really know. Surfshark is around £60 for the year, not $2 per month. I think if you get the 2-year package, you can get 2 years for £48, or maybe they've changed their prices actually. I should probably update that and check that. So I do apologize. Maybe slightly more expensive. Oh yeah, and Carlos Sainz will be getting a smooth operator shirt. Fernando Alonso will be getting a Fernando is faster than you shirt. Charles Leclerc's getting it must be the water shirt. Like we're getting all of the meme shirts. They're all going to be there. So yeah, still nothing from race control, ladies and gents. Nothing from race control. Activate slow mode. I think we're already on slow mode. Slipstream clothing, slipstream apparel. Sounds pretty good, actually. Why not? Can you make team shirts? Maybe. Yeah, I think I'll. If I can figure out some sort of nice design to put on a team shirt, then for sure. I've been scrolling through Pinterest quite frequently to look at new designs and just come up with some new ideas. So yeah, should be good. I'll have some updates for you later on. How about Apex Line? Apex Line, pretty nice. Have you made any designs of merch yet? Excited to see. Yeah, I had them up on the screen momentarily ago. I guess, well, why not? I'll just pop them up on the screen anyway. Because clearly we're not racing, because the FAA is incompetent, as we really already know. Actually, I'm going to put a poll up. Is the FAA a joke? I think that poll's going to do quite well, 100%. Well, there's also, there's the aspect of safety, but they also could have done 3 laps behind the safety car, cleared up the circuit, and then gone racing. Max Verstappen will get a Simply Lovely shirt, don't worry. Yeah. Don't worry about that one. That was like the first one that came up on my list, actually. So right. Yeah, that's the Max Verstappen one. And this would go sort of on the back of a white t-shirt, and then on the front, whatever name I call it, maybe Slipstream Apparel, maybe Project DRS or whatever, would just be a little logo on the front left. And that's about it. Okay, I am going to switch back to the weather radar because, yeah, we don't really need this. Don't need all the designs up. And there are way too many pixels, actually. Because they're so detailed and everything, because they need to be printed on t-shirts. It's actually it might crash my laptop, so I've got to be careful. Weather forecast, there we go. Okay, very nice. The race hasn't been abandoned, folks. The race has not been abandoned. We are still waiting for a message from race control. We are now 12 minutes away from it being a full hour delay. Basically, they've got 2 minutes now. In 2 minutes' time, they can give a 10-minute warning and they can say, yes, we will go racing in 10 minutes' time. And then we'll have a full hour delay, but it will be all right. We'll still go racing and things will all be fine. But yeah, I don't really know what's going on.
How long are pit stops? The drivers lose 18 seconds of racing time if they come into the pits, 18 and a half seconds, I think, to be exact. And then they lose 11 or 10 seconds if they come in during virtual safety car or safety car conditions. So 8 seconds gained by coming into the pits in a safety car or virtual safety car. Um, F1 Gamer, are there any penalties carried to the next race? No, I don't think anyone's getting penalties carried over. Hamilton has taken his penalties this weekend with a fresh engine, and he's going to be starting from the pit lane. I don't know. Maybe technically, if the race never starts, I guess he technically doesn't use that new engine, so then he has to give a penalty again if he's going to use that in the next race. I'm not sure how that works. Interesting question, actually. Yeah. All right. Oh, the momentary clear skies here, ladies and gentlemen. Momentary clear skies out in Spa-Francorchamps. So, FIA, any minute now, you can send. Oh, they're not clear skies, they're partly clear skies. Yeah, probably should have said that. But any minute now, you can send a 10-minute warning, and we can go racing in 10 minutes time. But we can see the blue sky. The Sauber mechanics having some chocolate digestives there, giving some chocolate digestives to the camera guy. Nice. Yeah, chocolate digestive lore from F1 Gamer goes way back. F1 Gamer, if you had the opportunity to co-host, commentate on one of the Grand Prix, which one would you like to do the most? Ooh, well, certainly I wouldn't like to do one which has a red flag because, here as a YouTube channel, I can do whatever. I can talk about F1 trivia, I can talk to chat. But if I was a professional commentator, you kind of just have to clutch at straws and talk about whatever, because there's no sort of interaction with the people that are watching. That they're watching you talk, and that's about it. So certainly not during a red flag. Probably I would like to go to the Japanese Grand Prix, maybe. Japanese Grand Prix, a little bit boring. Maybe Brazil. Oh yeah, it's got to be Brazil. There's no other choice option. No option. I've got to commentate the Brazilian Grand Prix if I ever have the choice to do so. Brazilian Grand Prix. Do you think the history of big fatal crashes at Spa affects the decision? Yeah, I mean, for certain, they are obviously very aware of Antoine Hubert, who had his incident in Spa, I think in 2019, and yeah, they're very aware of that and they're very cautious of that, and yeah, that is why the visibility is a problem. But I think the FIA should have at least tried, or they should implement some sort of procedure, because this has happened far too often, where the drivers don't have good visibility. However, this lack of visibility is very short-lived. If they do 3 more laps around the circuit, that visibility clears up. They can actually see what's going on ahead of them. So I think potentially for 2026, what they should do, they should add an extra procedure that race control and the stewards, they have the ability to execute the procedure. And the procedure would just be go out behind the safety car for 3 laps to evaluate the conditions and to also clear up the circuit. I think that procedure really needs to be added into Formula One, because so many races I have seen, where we've had wet conditions and we've just not started to go racing, and the conditions just get worse and worse and worse because there's nothing on the track. Yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that's a good idea? Do you think that is worthwhile implementing, or do you think I'm just talking a bunch of nonsense? Everyone, given what you think about getting music creators involved? Maybe. I mean, it would be pretty cool to have like a sort of an intro, like the official F1 broadcast. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure. What's your favorite track? It's got to be. What's it got to be? Mm, Brazil. Yeah, Brazil's the one. Brazil or Spa, probably. Yeah. No, sorry, Brazil or Suzuka. Spa's pretty good. Silverstone's also up there, but it's one of those. Okay.
No, it's a bit random, but what part of the England are you from? I'm not going to disclose that, actually. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not going to get stopped in the street if I do a face reveal, or I'm not going to get stalked or anything, but I'd rather just not. How many years have you been commentating for? I have commentated since the Russian Grand Prix 2020. That was the first time when someone in chat suggested I should commentate the Grand Prix. So I did, and it went all right. But then I stopped. I did it for the Russian Grand Prix, and then I didn't really commentate for the rest of the season. But then 2021 Bahrain, so since the start of 2021 I've been commentating every single quali and every single race for the 2021, 2022, 23 seasons. Then in 24 I started doing free practice and free practice sessions as well, and now here we are in 2025. Yeah. All right. What makes Spa as dangerous as it is? Well, I'll take you through a lap of the circuit. In fact, we haven't had a lap of the circuit in over an hour. So here we go. Wet lap, starting from... We're going to start slightly earlier. Yeah, so the main thing about Spa is that you haven't got acres and acres of runoff. You have got gravel traps in locations. You've got barriers. You've got grass, and that makes it tough for the drivers. It makes it easy to make mistakes. But then also, if you do make a crash, then it's going to be a pretty large impact one, and there's not much you can do to sort of avoid it. So, we're going down the Camel Straight here. Let's just imagine there's a little river crossing across going across the circuit, right? And if you drive over that river, there's a good chance that you could get away with it. Go totally flat over the river, you'll be fine. But there's also a small chance that you spin out, you crash, your rears lose grip, you start aquaplaning, you slide, and off into the barriers you go. You bounce off the left barrier onto the right barrier. There's debris all across the circuit. The drivers behind you have loads and loads of punctures. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it said track clear, let's go. Finally, some racing. Okay, let me bring this timer down. This timer, 19 minutes is probably... maybe I'm being a bit... Let's say 15 minutes. 15 minutes, 22 seconds. Hopefully, this is correct. The track is clear, finally. Okay, so we've had a delay of 56 minutes so far. A minimum of an hour and 5 minutes delay because they need a 10-minute warning. But however, the FIA have not given the 10-minute warning yet. They have not said that we're going to go racing right now. So... yeah, thank you everyone for sticking along. We've still got 20,000 people listening to the stream, which I think is just mind-blowing. So cheers everyone for sticking along, and it looks like we are going to go racing. They've got a double yellow. Oh no, what? Okay, double yellow going through Eau Rouge and Radion. That part, it's very steep. The water should just flow down it ideally. So I don't know what that double yellow is for. But we're making some progress here. And... they've cleared up that yellow flag, and now it's double yellow at turn number 6 and turn number 7. That was the part of the circuit that Oscar Piastri was saying was the wettest, but now that is also being cleared. Okay, come on FIA, just send that message over race control. Just tell us 10 minutes to start the race. Okay, well now we've got another yellow flag here just on the exit of Stavolo now. Yeah, F1 Gamer, where should I watch F1? The place to watch F1 is SRF. That is what it is. The link is in the description for Surfshark VPN. You get Surfshark VPN, you join a Swiss VPN server, you search SRF, and then you enjoy, basically. So you make an account, you log in, you can watch Formula 1. So yeah, go ahead and check that out if you guys are interested in watching the actual footage. The commentaries are in German, so if you don't understand it, you'll just mute it, listen to me commentate instead. But regardless, you actually get to watch the cars go around the circuit, which is the important bit. More yellow flags. Okay. Hopefully this sort of clears up and we don't have any sort of issues. Eau Rouge is the name of the river that flows beneath the turn. That is correct. I don't think it's a river. I think it's more so of a stream, but it's a red stream. Or maybe it is a river. I don't know. But either way, it's red because I think of the clay or the rock that is that the stream flows through. It sort of just makes everything red. And that's why it's called Eau Rouge. Rouge being red. I hope that's correct. Otherwise, I'm going to look like an idiot. Does Spa track have a downhill? Indeed it does. If you go uphill, you have to go back downhill because the start line is not going up and down in elevation. So you go up the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Huge elevation change. The drivers experience huge compressive loading from just going up a hill at ridiculous speeds. Then you open the actually you don't open the DRS flap because it's wet conditions, and you continue on towards the Camel Straight. You're still going up the hill at this point, very slight incline, but you're going up a hill. Then into the Les Combes chicane you go, right, then left. Stay away from these curbs. You don't really want to be touching them. Then going through turn number 7 here, this is the highest point of the circuit. Now you're downhill from here, so downhill braking into turn number 8, and should be good. Okay, downhill braking into turn number 8, flick to the left for Jackie X or No Name Corner, and then you've got P1 left to go. Huge lift here in wet conditions, maybe even tap of the brakes to sort of shift the load forwards. That's the most important thing. Shift the load of the car forwards, and then you can get a lot less understeer, and then you go through towards the La Fangia chicane. At this point, you reach the lowest point of the circuit here in Stavelot. I think this is the lowest point, and then ever so slightly you climb up a hill towards the bus stop, towards Blanchimont, the bus stop chicane, and then again the start-finish line. So that is it. Okay, well, race control haven't given us the 10-minute warning, so this time is going to have to go up again. I would have expected the 10-minute warning to come through as soon as they said the track was clear, because if the track was clear, what's the issue now? But they've got double yellows at Stavelot, double yellows through the Camel Straight. The Camel Straight has got a slight bit of camber to it. That means that the water that is there on the left-hand side of the circuit will flow towards the right, because the track is ever so slightly tilted to the right-hand side. And that should prevent any sort of issues with like aquaplaning and stuff like that. So I don't really know why they've got yellows deployed there. Okay, track clear at Stavelot. Now, I guess they're just waiting for confirmation from the tractor that's been driving around the Camel Straight that it's clear enough and clean enough, and then we can finally do some racing. F1 Gamer, is anything that you do outside of F1/YouTube? Yeah, I study engineering. That is what I do. More yellows. What? Oh my! I mean, I get the whole safety thing, but like, okay, the safety car's out now. Oh, not the safety car. The medical car's out, doing some laps of the circuit, getting a feel for grip conditions. But yeah. I don't know why the medical car is doing the laps. Surely the safety car should do the laps. But yeah, there's a tractor on the circuit which the medical car needs to avoid. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Give me just a second. I haven't drank any water for the last... How long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for... Is it an hour now? No, it's been... how long has it been? An hour, 47 minutes. So yeah, my throat is thoroughly cooked. I'm going to have some water. Give me a sec. Okay, yeah. I don't know what else really to say. I can't find F1 on the Surfshark VPN sites either. You don't find F1 on the Surfshark website. What you do is you connect to a Swiss VPN server. Once you connect to a Swiss VPN server, you just go into Google normally, search SRF, and once you do that, you can make an account, log in, and watch Formula One. Yeah. It's not on the Surfshark website, the SRF thing. It's on just normal Google. You have to search SRF. Yeah. Okay. What if the medical car crashes? Then I think they have a backup medical car. Because yeah, just in all of these just in all of these scenarios, it's safe to have an extra backup car. Right. So here we go then, folks. We should be racing soon. They're still waiting for the... They're still waiting. Yeah. Must be the water. Indeed, it must be the water. What else have I got to talk about, really? I guess I could tell you guys some more interesting stuff going on in my life. I mean, to be fair, there's not that much interesting stuff. I've just got a motorcycle, really. I got my license, I think, what, 2 weeks ago, maybe. So I've got a nice Honda 125cc, Honda CB 125. So I'm learning how to ride a motorcycle, which I think is pretty cool. Um, so I've been told by loads of people it's very dangerous, and I agree. So if there's an occasion where I randomly don't miss where I randomly miss a stream, it'll probably be because I'm in hospital. Well, no, it's not. I'm gonna drive pretty safe. Well, I'm gonna do my best to drive pretty safe and under the speed limit. But yeah, that's that. That's that. What else is there really to talk about? I don't really know. Congrats on the motorcycle. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, it's I'm sure you guys can Google Honda 125. In fact, I guess I could pull up an image, couldn't I? It's not going to be the end of the world to find an image. Honda CB. Yeah, so I'm not biased towards Honda or anything. Hondas are pretty reliable, so I'm not biased towards the Red Bull team or anything like that. Just to be clear, because I know a lot of people will say that I'm biased or whatever. So anyway, save image, screen. But yeah. Oh, you have a CBR 100RR. Wow, that's a quick bike, isn't it? Name for your merch, DRS drop ready style. That's pretty good actually. I think that's a nice idea. I'll have a think. I'll think over this. I'm not going to just decide on stream. I'll give it a good rest and thought overnight. But yeah, thanks for all the suggestions, and thanks for the donation as well. Drop Dead Hero. I guess that's sort of similar to your name, Drop Ready style, Drop Dead Hero. But thank you very much for the donation. Yeah, I've just got this bike here. I mean, I've got it in white, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun. I know a lot of you. I know. Yeah, I'm guessing a lot of people interested in motorsports probably also have a motorcycle. So if you guys have any bikes, what bikes have you got? CBR 100RR is yeah, very very fast. Okay. Still, race will resume, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We have got a message from race control. The race is resuming in. Let me just change the timer. The race is resuming in 14 minutes and 5 seconds. 14 minutes and 5 seconds. F1 Gamer, if you ever want an ECU remap or an upgrade, talk to me, brother. I'll have a look. I don't think my insurance would particularly allow an ECU remap. But the thing is, the bike's only got like 10 horsepower, so you could probably do an ECU remap and get that up to 11. Yeah. Got a Ninja 400. Okay, very nice. Okay. And this is official, folks. This is not hopefully, so let me get rid of the hopefully on the screen as well. Race is starting in 13 minutes and 36 seconds. Woohoo! Let's go. I am very, very happy to actually go racing. So I can have something to commentate on. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Currently riding a VFI 100X. Oh, wow. So it's a nice bike, isn't it? The V twin, I think. Got a Pulsar. Cool, cool. Okay. Setup reveal. I guess I could post I'll post on Instagram. I'll post a story of the setup. I think I've already, or maybe I had one up on my Instagram before. My Instagram is f1_gamer_5, so you can check it out. And yeah, I think I've got a video of I've got a setup post there, or maybe I'll put one up on a story once the race is finished. Quick recap of the session of the weekend so far. So we had FP1. Piastri was absolutely dominant in the middle sector. Apart from that, pretty smooth running really. Everyone was trying not to crash the car because they had sprint quali in about 3 hours time, which happened. And Yuki Tsunoda knocked out a Q1. Lewis Hamilton knocked out of Q1. Kimi Antonelli knocked out of Q1. Hamilton knocked out because he locked the rears, spun the car, and that was the end of that. Antonelli didn't manage to improve because I think he damaged his floor, but then also got caught up with the yellow flags because Lewis Hamilton spun. Yuki Tsunoda. Yuki Tsunoda had the downgraded version of the Red Bull for sprint quali and the sprint race. However, Lauren Mickey's, who is the new team principal at Red Bull, told the mechanics to give Yuki Tsunoda Verstappen's spare parts. Verstappen had a spare version of the upgraded floor and the new floor bolted onto his car, and Yuki Tsunoda was still driving with the downgraded floor. So he said to the mechanics, say, give Yuki the new floor, and we'll just take that risk that Verstappen doesn't crash and hopefully doesn't damage his floor. So that's what they did. Tsunoda got the upgraded floor and then made it up into 7th position in quali. So great job there for Tsunoda. You know, that's what happens when you have a team principal that sort of backs you, believes in you, works with you to make this sure the balance of the car is the same, gives you good grips level, gives good consistency. Then Tsunoda can be there up in 7th position. So yeah, great to see Tsunoda up there in 7th. And yeah. On what website is F1 free? It's SRF, and it's only free if you're in a Swiss, using a Swiss VPN or a VPN that connects to Switzerland or whatever. Okay, quickly let's run through the Drivers' Championship. As you can see, Oscar Piastri 234 points, Lando Norris 226, Max Verstappen 165. That points gap is rather large, to be honest. So let's have a look. Let me just do the calculation. It is 234 points minus 165. That is a 69-point gap between Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen. Very nice, firstly. However, Verstappen is going to need some DNFs from Piastri and Norris to close that gap up. Otherwise, it's going to be super duper difficult to actually get going. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens there for Max. But, yeah. All right, let me change the stream title. I'm going to change it away from Heavy Rain, and I'm going to call it Race Restart. Or Restarting Now or something. Because it is restarting now, isn't it? F1 Gamer, I'm in the grandstand next to the Kemmel Straight. It's drying fast. Thank you, Carlos Science 55 in the YouTube chat. Thanks for the information. It is drying down the Kemmel Straight. The sun has ever so slightly peeked out behind the clouds, sorry, and we are going racing, ladies and gentlemen. We are going racing. Yeah. What setup is Max on? All of the top 16 drivers are on a half wet, half dry setup. None of them have fully committed to wet setup yesterday. However, Sainz, Hamilton, Antonelli, Alonso, so the drivers in the last 4 positions, they are on a full wet setup. So they'll have the advantage, but it won't be that big. Like, it will give them an extra, let's say, 10th or 2 per lap, but it's not going to be like, oh, them just breezing past everyone super duper easily. Looking at the Constructors' Championship here, we've got McLaren 460 points, Ferrari 222, more than less than half of McLaren's points. McLaren just ridiculously far ahead. Wait, did they just say Carlos Sainz has just said don't forget to subscribe? Ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Sainz has just told you to subscribe. Like, if you're not subscribing, then yeah, I don't know what's going on, but Carlos Sainz, don't forget to subscribe. You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. I don't know how that's happened, but okay. What tire do you think they'll start on? Oh, it'll be intermediate tires for sure. Okay. Yeah, here we go then. We're getting pretty close to our like target as well. We're halfway through the like target, and the race hasn't even begun, albeit we had a 1-hour delay. And now we are, 1,300, 1,120, 220 away from our sub target. So, folks, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, be sure to do so. It really helps out the channel. Is it worth it to pay for the live stream? Yeah, I mean, we've got around 400 or so people using that method to watch the coverage. So it's definitely, if you want to see the cars go around the circuit, you want to see these huge overtakes, huge spray, the onboard footage from the driver's helmet cam, like you can only really get that by seeing it. I can describe it as well as I possibly can, but there's a totally different experience to actually seeing it yourself. So it's up to you. I'm not going to tell you to go spend your money. But I will tell you that if you do buy it, it does help the channel. I do get a small percentage back. Right, what does the DRS mean? Well, we're not really going to be using DRS in these wet conditions, but DRS essentially is drag reduction system, so it gives you a little bit extra top speed going down the straights, and that's what the green bits are here. So this is the DRS zone. This red line here is the end of the sector 1, so start sector 2 all the way through here, end of sector 2, start sector 3. This green dot here is DRS detection point, so if you're within 1 second of the driver ahead of you, you'll be allowed to use DRS down the next straight. Same thing for this detection point, and this purple thing is a speed trap, which is measuring the speeds that you can see there at the bottom of your screen. Currently it's obviously 0 miles per hour. Yeah, we paid for your bike. No, folks, that bike is a gift from my parents. I'm definitely not getting definitely haven't used YouTube money to pay for the bike. Would like to be very clear. I'm not making that much. All right. Yeah, very kind of my parents to gift me a bike, shall we say. So, yeah, definitely owe them quite a bit. A slight drizzle again. Yeah, I mean, a slight drizzle's fine. It should be fine. As long as the FIA have an ounce of common sense, it should be okay. Do you think Max can get P1? Honestly, anyone can get P1. Nico Hulkenberg, starting in 14th, could get P1. The yellow flags have been cleared up off the circuit. We are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Good to go. Did Fernando say thumbs up? Wait. Did Fernando Alonso tell you guys to hit the thumbs up button? I just scrolled past it. Where has it said? Maybe not, actually. Maybe he didn't say it, or maybe he did, but I just can't see it. But yeah, I'm just scrolling through all the team radio messages. These are all the old ones. Anyway, yeah, they're all just doing their radio checks now. We're getting ready to go racing. Three laps shall be dry. Well, we'll see. We'll wait and see. F1 Gamer, what other motor racing sports do you like? I don't know, maybe now that I've got a bike, I'll watch some MotoGP. Maybe I will... I don't really watch that many other motorsports. I think, Formula 1, 24 races in a year is more than sufficient, especially when I watch every single practice session, every single quali, every single race, because I'm commentating them, of course, so I have to watch them. Not that, obviously I enjoy them, but, so sometimes the Le Mans stuff overlaps, or the endurance stuff overlaps with Formula 1. So, yeah, I didn't really watch that many other motorsports, to be honest. Is the track dry? No. There is still dampness on the circuit. And, oh, look at this. Minimum of 2 laps behind the safety car. They've just told Kimi Anse, so we're going to be doing 2 laps behind the safety car. And the race will start behind the safety car. Okay, so a rolling start by the looks of it as well. Rolling start and at least 2 laps behind the safety car. IMSA and WEC are definitely worth watching. Yeah, I should definitely... I'll probably watch some highlights here and there, and then if I fully get into it, then I'll watch it. I will probably, if I could get my hands on some data as well, then I'd watch it for sure. F1 Gamer, have you ever been to a Grand Prix IRL? Unfortunately not. Yeah, the Silverstone Grand Prix is really expensive. In fact, it's cheaper for me to... I've said this loads of times. It's cheaper for me to get a ticket to the Belgian Grand Prix, fly to Belgium from the UK, stay the night, watch the Grand Prix, come back the next day, and it's still cheaper than going to the Silverstone Grand Prix. So I think it's also pretty similar for Hungary as well. The tickets at Hungary and the tickets at Belgium are quite cheap. So, if you folks are in Europe and are interested in watching a Formula 1 race, don't want to pay the outrageous price for Silverstone or for Zandvoort. I know Zandvoort's very expensive as well. Monza, I think, is reasonably cheap. So, you got to travel a little bit around Europe, but overall, you're still saving money, so... Cost aside, of course, which race would be your dream travel? Oh, it would be Interlagos. Firstly, seeing a different part of the world, which would be very cool. And then, obviously, the racing at Interlagos is amazing as well. Carlos Sainz 55, the drizzle stopped, the sun is back. Carlos Sainz 55, I think I'm going to make you a moderator, maybe just for this stream, but just because you're at the circuit itself, you're going to you're just going to be able to, we're going to see your messages highlighted a little bit more. So thanks for all of the weather updates. And you're now a moderator. Maybe that'll stay that way. Maybe it won't. I'll decide later on. But yeah, just for today, you're because you're giving us all of the weather updates, very much is appreciated, buddy. Okay, loads of team radio messages coming through. Everyone's getting their setups ready. They're going to get their clutch settings dialed in as well. Actually, if we're having a rolling start, you don't need your clutch settings dialed in. But regardless, they'll be getting ready to go racing. F1 Gamer, is Max confirmed to go switch to Mercedes? No, I don't think that's happening. I think the latest rumours that have come out is that Max is staying with Red Bull for 2026, but he's negotiated it in such a way that if he wants to leave in 2026, he can, and there's no sort of like big payout that they have to give the team or anything like that. And Max can just leave in 2026 and go to whichever team's the fastest in 2027. So yeah, that's I think what's going on. Okay. 57 seconds, ladies and gentlemen, 57 seconds, and we'll have the cars making their way out onto the circuit. I cannot wait. This is going to be lovely. Right, let me get a sip of water because we're gonna have some very nice racing going on now. I was bored, F1 Gamer. I just fell asleep while waiting, and I dreamed that 4 drivers were on full wets at the bottom, and just started and made a bunch of positions. Okay, well, maybe that'll happen. As of right now, it looks like everyone's on inters, but when they drive out the pit lane, maybe that'll change. I think their intermediate tyres are still the choice of compound for all of the drivers. 15 seconds, and yeah, safety car comes out first, and then we'll have all of the cars behind them. Okay, let me get rid of this countdown timer. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, finally we are out and we are racing. Green light at the end of the pit lane. Safety car crawls its way out at a snail's pace, and we are ready to go. How is the weather? It has stopped raining. It has stopped raining almost entirely. There is small drizzle here and there, according to our weather reporter on the circuit. So, yeah. But for the majority of it, they've stopped raining, and visibility does look better than before. I have to be honest, the visibility is better. So the FAA achieved their goal of reducing, helping out the drivers, giving them a little bit more visibility. But that's also because the drivers are a lot more spread out. Look at this. Russell is so far behind Albon. Tsunoda is so far behind Russell. So visibility clearly is better when you're so far away. But going down the Camel Straight, there is so much water. And there's just a cloud of water. You genuinely can't see anyone behind Lando Norris. Just a little Oscar Piastri peeks out from the side. But apart from that, you can see no one. From the camera angle, from the inboard perspective, though, the visibility is better. The FAA did achieve their goal. But yeah, I personally think they could have achieved it in a different way. But obviously, I'm not the FAA team boss. Someone else is. All right. Yeah, Carlos Sainz is actually sat on the Camel Straight, and it's just like, holy smackaroons, huge spray. Yeah, not surprised. Even I can't see. Yeah, so the fans on the side of the circuit can't even see the cars because of all of the spray. But I think the drivers are a little bit more happy about it. And the other thing is the minimum of 2 laps. Piastri says quite a lot better than before through Eau Rouge. After Eau Rouge, it's still quite bad. The straight is still pretty bad. Yeah. Fair enough, but we'll do 2 more laps behind the safety car, and then we will be okay, hopefully. Also, I don't know why the safety car is showing up as red. Oh, I think it's because I adjusted the contrast settings. Let me change that. Where is it? Yeah, it should not be that red. I don't know how that's happened. Maybe that's fixed it. No, it hasn't. And never mind. I mean, it says safety car anyway, so who cares? Oh, there we go. Very nice. Yellow for the safety car. Cool. So currently my driver of the day is the safety car, Bernd Mailander, a safety car driver. The race will start behind the safety car. We're going to do 2 laps at least, and then depending on visibility, depending on what the FIA think, we'll go racing. Quickest speed through the straights, Lewis Hamilton, 248 kilometers per hour. He's just obviously had the biggest run up through Eau Rouge, and that's why he's the quickest through the straight, but yeah. Why the safety car? The FIA doesn't want to do a standing start because, let's be honest, a standing start into La Source is so risky. And we do potentially just risk we're doing a standing start and then immediately the session getting red flagged because 2 drivers have locked up, gone straight on and caused a 4-car pileup. Like, that is a very high possibility, and I guess that is the reason why they've essentially just said that we're going to start behind the safety car. You know, but these are also the 20 best drivers in the world. So I'd be inclined to think that surely they can deal with the loss of visibility. Like, they know exactly where they're starting. They know exactly what the straight line looks like. They're driving in a straight line for crying out loud. So surely they can figure it out, but it's fine. It says the race will start behind the safety car. I don't know if that means it's going to be a rolling start or a standing start. Like, normally that means behind it says rolling start, but I will confirm and get back to you. 19 plus Stroll. Okay, folks. Fair enough. Stroll's in 16th, so we'll see where he goes from here. How fast is the safety car going? I don't know. It's an Aston Martin production car, reasonably quick, but it's obviously changing over. What is the crossover time again? The crossover time we'll be expecting. Let me pull that up for you. So it's around 100. So the crossover rule, according to Formula One legends of past, essentially once the lap time in wet conditions is within 12% of the lap time in dry conditions, you can switch over from the inters to the wets. So the lap times that we were seeing in quali yesterday are 141s basically, or 140.5 or whatever, and that's 100 seconds flat, right? So 112 seconds. So we're looking at 152s. Or the 150 range, and that's when we're expecting to switch over to the dries. And Hamilton's just come over the radio saying it's drying pretty quick. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, guess what would have happened? You've got 20 Formula One cars driving around the car circuit, so the FIA could have just done it before, but I digress. I'm not going to mention that again. Feel like it's just getting a little bit too negative. Yeah. So we'll be getting underway very, very shortly for the racing, and it's a minimum of 2 laps. But they haven't said safety car is in this lap. They haven't said we're continuing on again. Well, I guess if they haven't said safety car is in this lap, I guess we're continuing. So we'll see. Tobrina Jolly, thanks for the $5 donation. At least I had your soothing voice during the wait in today's racing. I cannot imagine the whinging on traditional F1 broadcasts. Well, thank you very much. Very much is appreciated. But I guess I was whinging a little bit as well. Okay, what have they said over the radio? Norris here. The right side of the grip is still a lot wetter than the left. Yes, it's not equal side to side. Okay. Because the drivers on the right side of the grid is the drivers on the right side of the grid are the drivers with odd numbers. Lando Norris will be starting on the right side of the grid and is essentially saying that if we start on the right hand side, I'm going to get a bad start because it's a lot wetter. So if we do a standing start, Lando Norris will most likely get a bad start. In fact, any number that is starting the race with starting the race with an odd number as their starting grid position. So Norris, Leclerc, Albon, Tsunoda, they're all going to be on the wet side of the starting grid. That means they're going to be they're just going to have a lot less grip, and that means they're going to have a slow race start. So, I guess we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to have a quick sip of water, but look at this. The lap count is continuing on. We're 3 laps of racing here. The lap counter is going. We're still behind the safety car, but the laps are still going down. What's a good point made by the other users? What happens to the pit lane starters in a rolling start? I have never considered that, actually. I guess what would happen is that they have to drive through the pit lane, or maybe because it's a rolling start, they're allowed to just sit at the back. I don't know what the procedure of that is, actually. I don't think it's ever, well, it's definitely happened before, but not that I know of. So I think they might just get away with just starting from the back, because it achieves the same effect, essentially. You know, all of the drivers that start from the pit lane, they're just starting right from the back of the pack. And it's essentially the same level of penalty. But I guess it's up to the stewards. If anyone else does know, if anyone else has been watching Formula 1 for longer, then do let me know in the chat. Why is the safety car out on the track? Because they are getting a feel for engine, for grip conditions and stuff like that. I don't know. Oh, look, Strollers asked this as well. So the guys behind me starting from the pit lane, how do you say on the grid now, because on the grid they've had a red flag? Yeah, that's the other thing, because we've technically had a red flag and we've had the formation lap. So does that mean that the drivers who are in the pits, who are starting from the pits, are they going to be behind him? Are they going to be on the pit lane? Interesting. Well, can we go racing, please? Like, when are you going to pull the safety car in? Are you just going to wait for the circuit to totally dry up and then we're going to go racing? Like, that is not fun. Yeah, the FIA, what can I say? This is not what we came to watch. We came to watch some racing in the wet at Spa-Francorchamps, not a procession behind the safety car behind at Spa-Francorchamps. We are 2 subscribers away from 185k. Thanks everyone for hitting the subscribe button. Very much is appreciated. We've just hit 185k. That is fantastic. Now we're, 15,000 away from 200k? That is, well, we're getting very, very close, aren't we? How's the forecast? It looks reasonably dry, I think. So, should be fine for now. And the sky has started to clear up, so... yeah, and Lando Norris now weaving left, right. All of the drivers weaving left and right, kicking up as much spray, getting it off the circuit as possible. Rolling start, ladies and gentlemen. Rolling start. So we will be starting the race behind, not behind the safety car, but we'll be starting it in a rolling format. Lando Norris has just got away with this. You could call this the McLaren FIA or whatever, because Lando Norris and all of the drivers, in fact, with an odd number, would be at a huge disadvantage starting on the right-hand side of the grid, because it's so much wetter than the left-hand side. But, on this occasion, they've got lucky. Lando Norris has a rolling start, and there's nothing to worry about there. Okay, here we go then. Safety car should be in this lap then. If they said a rolling start, that definitely means safety car in this lap. They've just told Oscar Piastri you can turn the launch map off. Launch map off is obviously that race start launch, so there'll be slightly different clutch settings for the race start rather than just normal shifting through gears. So they've turned all of that off, and now it's purely just racing from here on out. Consider doing back right toggle for turn 8. Turn 8 is downhill braking, very easy to lock up, and it's super wet as well at that part of the circuit. So all of the drivers now, they've done a couple laps behind the safety car. They know which part of the dry sections, which part of the wet sections. They're getting ready to use that knowledge. Now the safety car is coming in this lap. We are finally racing, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Safety car is just coming into the pits. Lando Norris, it's down to him. When is he going to put his foot flat to the floor? Is he just going to cruise down the start-finish, down the back straight, all the way towards the bus stop chicane and then go flat out? Or is he going to go early? It looks like he has gone early by the looks of it. Accelerating now towards Blanchimont. Oscar Piastri is tucked right into his slipstream. He can't get an overtake done before the bus stop chicane because that is not before the safety car line. Piastri's in a huge coat of spray, but they make their way through the bus stop. Lap number 4 of 44. Lando Norris leads the race. Oscar Piastri right on his tail, practically pushing him through these corners. Charles Leclerc gets some good traction. Max Verstappen in 4th place. We got fastest lap of the race there from Fernando Alonso at the back of the pack, but now we'll get the real fast laps coming in. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Oscar Piastri, oh my god, he's already so close going through Eau Rouge. This is getting extremely tasty. Now towards the Les Combes chicane. Piastri to the outside, Norris to the inside. It's a drag race between the McLarens. Piastri has the momentum. Down the inside he goes into the Les Combes chicane. He has retaken that lead off his teammate, and Oscar Piastri is our new race leader. All right, and Lando Norris, I don't know if he didn't warm up his tyres properly or what's going on. His car's twitching about here and there. He's now suffering from the dirty air. Charles Leclerc's closing up on him. The gap between Piastri and Norris has already got so big. Norris runs wide. Here comes Charles Leclerc. What can he do? Can he hold on? Can he get ahead of Lando Norris in wet conditions? As a Brit, he should be pretty good. He's been practicing in wet go-karts his entire racing career, but in these wet conditions today, already 1.1 seconds behind Oscar Piastri. He really is struggling. I don't know what's going on there for Norris, but Leclerc's closing up, and so is Max Verstappen. Further down the field, not a single position has changed. This is the problem with a rolling start. It's very, very difficult to get an overtake done, and we've only had one overtake on the opening lap. Oscar's out of DRS, but of course in wet conditions we don't have DRS regardless. Doesn't matter anyway. And Norris says, why do I have no pack? Lando Norris has no battery. I don't know if it was a mistake or something, but he didn't charge up his battery behind the safety car, and that is why he lost out to Oscar Piastri. So yeah, I mean, it must be his mistake, or the team forgot to tell him to turn on the recharge or something, but he says no pack, and I assume that means battery pack. And yeah, Lando Norris loses the position. Either his mistake or the team's a mistake. We used a lot on the safety car restart. Oh, Norris used it all on the safety car restart. Okay, so it was Norris's fault then. He used all of the battery on the safety car restart, had none left for the opening lap, and Piastri just breezed past him. Here comes Max Verstappen now, right on Charles Leclerc's tails. They're going through a rouge, over the curbs they go, and the curbs are drying up fast, and the drivers are pushing the cars extremely hard. And further back the field, are we getting some overtaking? Yes, we are. Sainz has got ahead of Lance Stroll. Nicely done. Albon gets overtaken by George Russell, the drivers that came through together in Formula 2. George Russell just ahead of his former rival from Formula 2. George Russell up into 5th, Alex Albon into 6th. Okay, yeah, that Williams is, not as quick as the Mercedes. It is what we expected. Once again, folks, the crossover lap time, 1 minute 52. That is what we are looking at for the crossover. Currently, we're at the 1:59s. The circuit is getting quicker and quicker. Piastri's just at a 1:59. Everyone else is doing 2 minutes lap times. And let's wait and see then. Let's wait and see. And Verstappen's really closing up on Leclerc. Leclerc's having some issues, going wide, suffering from quite a bit of understeer through the Lafanja chicane here. And Verstappen is right on his tail. Now heading through Stavelot, through Blanchimont. Verstappen's tucked right in. If he can get a good run here, he's going to be looking for an overtake into the bus stop chicane. This could be an epic move from Max Verstappen. He's got an overtake done round the outside before at Blanchimont. This time, not getting that one done. And his traction was not as good as Leclerc's on that previous corner. And he's got to wait for the next sequence of corners. Oscar Piastri, yellow first sector, yellow second sector. I don't know what's going on for him, but that gap that was extended up to 1.5 is now back down to 1. And Norris is back in the hunt. Okay, and loads of drivers taking loads of different lines now, trying to keep their car wet, trying to keep the tyres wet. The circuit is rapidly drying, but the tyre temperatures are going up. Now track temperatures up to 26 degrees Celsius. There was a momentary bit of sun that brought up the track temps, and now these inters are going to start overheating as the track dries up. So the drivers weaving left and right to get as much water over these tyres to keep the temperatures low. Okay, up at the front then, Piastri 33.2 in the first sector, Norris 33.2, Leclerc 33.0, and Verstappen also 33.0. So they're both closing up on the drivers ahead of them. Okay. So here we go then, 38,000 people watching the live stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. We are going to get some more good racing here. Stroll's dropped down 3 positions. I can't say I'm surprised. He started the race in 16th. He's lost a position to Sainz, Hamilton and Antonelli. And he's only just not been overtaken by his teammate Fernando Alonso. Yeah, Stroll left his handbrake on. I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, Leclerc's sort of, he's dropping off the back of the McLarens as is expected. Verstappen, however, seems to have some pace, but is stuck behind Charles Leclerc. So he's got to force a mistake from Leclerc, not make a mistake himself, and then
and then line up an overtake, essentially. Just line it up from potentially, if you can get a good run into the bus stop, force Leclerc to go defensive, then again defensive into La Source, then it should be an easy overtake in towards the Camel, in towards the Les Combes chicane. But he's got to force those mistakes from Leclerc, otherwise it's going to be a long, hard battle. Stroll down into last place. Fernando Alonso gets ahead of him. We'll see what's going on Stroll's radio, but I'm sure he won't be happy. Okie dokes. Oh, Hamilton. Oh, one of the drivers goes deep. Someone goes deep there. Hamilton just gets ahead of Sainz. Antonelli ahead of Stroll. Stroll re-overtakes Fernando Alonso. And there's a big old squabble right at the back of the pack. Wait, Antonelli's on mediums? No. This cannot be right. I think that's a glitch. That definitely wasn't like, yeah, it's just switched back to inters. Okay, yeah, he's definitely not on medium tyres. It's definitely way too wet for that. And the lap times up at the front aren't improving. What? Piastri, 1:59.7, and Leclerc is doing a 2-minute flat. I would have expected every single the lap times to go down and down and down, but not many people improving today. Oh, well, on this lap at least. Hamilton now up into 15th position. Is this the comeback that he's been looking for? Started the race in 18th position, and now he is definitely in the zone. It's hammer time for Lewis Hamilton. And next up is Nico Hülkenberg, the driver that he was trying to chase down last weekend out in Silverstone, but couldn't do so with the Ferrari snapping about everywhere. This weekend, Ferrari rear suspension upgrade. That should help things out. And let's see what Lewis Hamilton can do. Yeah, Verstappen's just stuck behind Leclerc, really, unable to get anywhere. But Leclerc's doing a good job. You know, he's looking for a podium, and he's doing everything right and everything in his power to keep that third place position. Right. Yeah, Lawson trying to get on to the back of Isaac Hadjar, Tsunoda trying to catch up to Alex Albon, and we'll just see how this goes. But up at the front gap, 1.2 seconds. Lando Norris is out of the spray of Oscar Piastri, and realistically, the circuit is starting to dry up here, folks. So the first sector here, up until this point, is all dry. Then it gets wet onwards all the way through the middle sector, and then it's dry for the majority of the final sector as well. So the question is, what do you do now? You've got half the circuit wet, half the circuit dry, or it's drying up at least. So when do you switch onto the intermediate tyres? The cutoff times tells you a 1:52, but is that what you're going to stick to? Are you going to take a risk, take a gamble? I personally wouldn't, because it's the middle sector. You know, if you told me that the middle sector is where you need all the downforce and the grip, so it doesn't make that much sense to be going out on slicks when it is wet in the middle sector. That's a very, very big problem. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend going out on slicks just yet. All right, Hamilton's overtaken Hülkenberg. He's on to the back of Gasly now. Hamilton is having an absolutely brilliant day today. A terrible weekend so far, but he's looking to bounce back. You know, that's what we were saying in the press conference before the race. It's a new day. The weekend hasn't been good, but I've got an opportunity to fix that. And, well, he is taking that opportunity with both hands. All right, here we go then. Leclerc now 5 seconds off the back of the McLarens. Verstappen has to clear Leclerc ASAP, because Verstappen may have the pace to catch up to Norris and Piastri. We don't know. He's been stuck behind Leclerc for the start of the race, but he needs to get out ahead of Leclerc and see if he can chase down his teammate, his championship rivals, because yeah, it's a fight worth having, isn't it? All right, Hamilton down the inside at Stavolo. What a move. Was not expecting that one. Pierre Gasly was forced off the dry racing line. This is the tactic here, ladies and gentlemen. Normally in dry conditions, what do? You go to the inside line, you get the overtake done. No. In wet conditions, what you do, you stick to the dry racing line. You push your rival off into the wet line, and because it's the wet line, they have less grip. They are forced to concede the position. That is how you overtake in wet conditions. Hamilton, textbook maneuver, up into 13th, up 5 places so far. 3 seconds to, well, it was momentarily 3 seconds up to 3 seconds to Berman. Now it's 2.6. So let's see how quickly he can close that gap up. Verstappen now right on
right on Leclerc's tail. Can he gain enough time? No, he cannot. He's going to need DRS assistance. They both have pretty similar top speeds. I think Verstappen ever so slightly slower than Leclerc, in fact, down the straights. So, yeah, Leclerc is just hanging on with that extra little top speed that he's got from that Ferrari power unit and a slightly lower downforce package than Max Verstappen. So, yeah, Verstappen's going to need DRS to get enabled to get ahead of Leclerc. And that gap is building every single lap. Look at that. It's a 2-minute 1 from Piastri and Norris. I still don't know. There is no rain falling or minimal rain falling. But still, the lap times are going upwards, which, yeah, doesn't track well for me. Verstappen round the outside at Pouon. Can he get an overtake done there? No, he cannot. I mean, that's a very, very risky move, wasn't it? But one worth trying, and now into Savilo he goes. He's still just pushing Leclerc through so many of these corners, but unable to get past. Yeah, and Leclerc's going consistently 2 seconds a lap slower than the McLaren. So every single lap, Verstappen is behind Leclerc. That is 2 seconds lost to his championship rivals. Gap from Lewis down from 2.6 seconds to 1.5. He is a man on a mission, and he's got to clear Ollie Behrman quickly, because let's just consider Ollie Behrman has got DRS on Esteban Ocon. That makes it 10 times harder for Hamilton to slipstream past him and overtake him. So he's got to get this overtake done before the DRS comes into play. And Verstappen now tucks right in towards La Source they go, and Verstappen backs out of this one. He's not going to get the overtake done into La Source, and he's going to try one down the Kemmel Straight. Leclerc goes a little bit deep. Verstappen, fantastic exit on the exit of La Source, but it's a drag race, Ferrari versus Honda, and Ferrari wins out. Not good enough traction for Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc's recharging his battery. Oh no, sorry, he's not even recharging his battery. Apologies. Leclerc's pressing the overtake button as they go down the straight, and Verstappen still loses out. He's got the power of the slipstream. Can he send one to the inside of Charles Leclerc? No, he cannot. Oh my goodness me. Fantastic traction for Leclerc, and Verstappen, wheel spin for days, wheel spin in second, wheel spin in third, and yes, somehow Leclerc's just holding on. And he says, I don't know if it's the downforce, but my God, my tyres are gone. Leclerc's tyres are gone, and Verstappen still can't get past. Yeah. Is DRS enabled? No, it is not. DRS not enabled as of yet. Hamilton 1.1 seconds off the back of Behrman, and maybe Haas will work together. Maybe they'll hold off Lewis Hamilton. They can work together. Give each other slipstreams. Behrman overtook Ocon, so now it's 1.1 seconds to 1 second to Ocon. Behrman up into 11th, Ocon down to 12th. But we'll see, we'll see if the two Hasses work together, because we've seen this done before. The two teammates work together to prevent anyone from getting past, and they can hold on to their... They're not in the points right now, but they'll be at least close to the points, and they'll have some hopes of scoring points later on. So we'll see how it works out for Lewis Hamilton. But he may just dispatch both drivers very, very quickly. Currently, the gap now extended up to 1.4. This is Oscar's win? I mean, maybe, but Lando Norris is keeping him very, very honest. 2 seconds is the gap right now between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. All right. Behrman is way faster than Ocon. Indeed, he is, really. He's already pulled a 2 second gap to his teammate, which is kind of wild because he overtook him only 1 lap ago. Oh, Hamilton. Yeah, so we go to medium. Is Hamilton switching onto the mediums on this lap? Is he doing it on the next lap? I don't know what's going on. Hamilton into the pits. Wait. Is this a good call from Ferrari? I have no idea. The lap times are still up in the 2-minute range, but Hamilton, Gasly, and Hülkenberg all into the pits. They think the circuit is dry enough to go on to medium tyres. At least Hamilton does. Maybe it'll be softs for Gasly and Hülkenberg, but 4 drivers into the pits, and 2.2 second stop for Hamilton. Nicely done. And now they're just gonna have to pray and hope, really. They're gonna have to pray and hope that they can hold on to these. The tyres also going to be very, very cold. Everyone's out on mediums. All 4 drivers come out on a fresh set of medium tyres. Now, let's keep our eyes peeled on these sector times. Are they going to be purple? Are they going to be yellow? Are they going to be green? Because that is going to be a very, very key indication. Hamilton now, in fact, folks, momentarily, I'm just going to switch over to the quali setting of the of the stream, so we can see the mini sectors, we can see where Hamilton's going quickly, where Hulkenberg's going quickly. I'll switch it back in a matter of like, well, actually I'll wait half a lap or so and then I'll check, but I'll switch it back after about 10 seconds or something. It's just so important to look at these mini sectors, because that is going to indicate what Piastri, what Norris, what Verstappen, what Leclerc, what everyone is going to do. Everyone's got their eyes peeled on these drivers. Let's wait and see. Is Piastri coming into the pits? Hamilton is quicker. Oh, let's have a look. Okay, quali. Look at this. Oh, we are seeing loads of green sectors here, folks. The drivers on the mediums, green, green, purple, purple, green, green. And it is time for the medium tyres. Oscar Piastri into the pits. Is Verstappen coming into the pits? DRS has been enabled, ladies and gentlemen. But Leclerc into the pits. Verstappen into the pits. Everyone's improving. Lando Norris is continuing on. Hamilton purple in the middle sector. Now Hulkenberg purple in the middle sector. And it is chaos down in the pit lane. So many drivers in the pits. Is anyone getting held up? Is it a quick stop for Piastri? I think it is. Quick stop for Leclerc as well, 2.5 for him, and absolute pandemonium. Verstappen, 4.8 second pit stop. He was so close to the back of Leclerc. He's now dropped 2 seconds to him because of a slow pit stop at the Red Bull crew. Very, very rare for them, but it came at the worst possible occasion. And yeah, Hamilton's purple and up into 12th position after all of these pit stops. He gets ahead of Behrman, and look at that. He's leapfrogged Ollie Behrman. Ollie Behrman, who was going quick, and he was like, what, 1.5 seconds ahead of him? So Piastri's going to extend this gap out at the front. Everyone dives into the pits. Let's see who hasn't come into the pits just yet. It is just Norris, Tsunoda, Hadjar and Ocon. They couldn't come into the pits because their teammates came into the pits and they were too close to each other. So Lando Norris losing nearly 2 seconds on this lap here, compared to Oscar Piastri. Okay. Ooh. All right, I'm quickly just going to look at some of these these mini sectors here, just see how purple everyone is going. And yeah, you can see there's all of the drivers that have just come out of the pits on cold tyres, might I add. Green, green, purple, purple, purple. Like, oh, look at this. Piastri, a monster through the middle sector. Like, he is attacking like crazy and trying to build this gap out to his teammate. He does not want Norris to get any even hint of DRS from the DRS detection zone. So yeah, Lando Norris is pushing like crazy, and Leclerc is stuck behind Ocon. Verstappen's right on the back of them. Here they go into Stavolo, and does Leclerc get ahead of Ocon? Yes, he does. Verstappen also does so. The gap between Leclerc and Verstappen, 0.8 of a second. DRS enabled, ladies and gentlemen. DRS has been enabled. We're about to get a great battle between Leclerc and Verstappen. A 3.5 second stop for Lando Norris. That is going to hurt him. An extra second to add on to the pain. He already lost 2 seconds in the because he pitted a lap late, and then he has lost a further 1 second because of a slow pit stop. And look at this. He is full 5 seconds behind his teammate now. Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton is purple. Lewis Hamilton up into 7th position. Everyone has completed their pit stops, and Hamilton up into 7th, up 11 places. It has certainly been hammer time all race long for Lewis Hamilton, and he's closing up to the back of Alexander Albon now. Let's see what happens there. Russell has got DRS on Verstappen. Verstappen hasn't got DRS on Leclerc. He missed the detection point for whatever reason, and Russell was gaining like crazy into the Reconnaissance chicane. But this is the thing, folks, the circuit is not perfectly dry. You cannot send a move to the inside because the track is wet. You're on slicks. You'll just spin out. You'll just crash. So it is extremely risky to go to the inside, get that pit stop done, get the overtake done, sorry, and we'll see how it works out, you know. Is Leclerc going to do the right thing? Is he going to keep his car on the dry line, force Verstappen to go onto the wet? Is that going to cause a mistake? Is Verstappen going to be able to deal with it? It's going to be very, very interesting. All right. We're on lap number 14 of 44. Just to point out, folks, the medium tyres will not be able to go to the end of the race from here. I mean, okay, you theoretically could. You're not going to have many overheating issues because the track temperature is 26 degrees, but it would be risky. Most likely what I expect is medium tyres all the way, and then you go on to softs right at the end. Lando Norris is on hards. I forgot to point this out. Norris is on hard tyres. The hard tyres are a full second slower than the mediums in just normal conditions. In slightly wet, slightly damp conditions, they're so much slower. Like, it's crazy. I can't convey exactly how much slower they are, but basically, the hard tyres, if they don't warm up, which they can't because track temperature is 26 degrees, Lando Norris can't push, and because he can't push, he can't warm them up. It's a catch-22, and Lando Norris is hemorrhaging time to Oscar Piastri now. Gap up to 9.5 seconds. This was a big strategy blunder. I don't know if it was Norris that said to the team that he should use the hards, or if the team said to Norris that he should use the hards, but either way, things haven't gone so well for Lando Norris. Lewis purple lap from him, very, very nicely done. George Russell purple through the first sector. Of course, he's got DRS on Max Verstappen. Verstappen unable to close up on Leclerc. This is the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Leclerc has got a sort of a more of a dry setup than a wet setup than Max Verstappen has. Verstappen a little bit more tuned towards the wet. Leclerc a little bit more tuned towards the dry. So Verstappen couldn't get the overtake done in wet conditions, and now he is set to suffer behind Leclerc because his setup's for the wet, Leclerc's is for the dry. Leclerc's going to drive off into the sunset, and Verstappen's going to have to defend against George Russell. So, this was the thing. If it was still raining, Verstappen, from his perspective, he would have wanted the race to start right at the beginning. Leclerc, from his perspective, he's like, oh, I've got a dry setup. I want it to be delayed. I'm totally fine sitting in the pit lane. Don't worry about me. Delay it even more, actually. Let it dry up even more. So that's the little gamble that these teams take. Some took some were like, oh, we're gonna go for the wet setup. Some were like, oh, we'll go for the dry, and we'll just hope that we don't have that much rain. And it's worked out for Charles Leclerc. Okay, up at the front, fastest lap from Oscar Piastri. Norris on the hards, a 1:48. He has warmed up those hard tyres successfully. He goes a 10th quicker than Piastri in that, and then clearly Leclerc takes a fast lap, then Verstappen takes a fast lap. So everyone is going quicker and quicker. Circuit improving rapidly, and Lando Norris 8 seconds back from his teammate. However, he will not have to do a pit stop. He can go directly to the end of this race. So now it's down to Oscar Piastri. Does he push? Does he extend the gap out to 18 seconds? That's the lap time lost, folks. When you come into the pits, 18.8 seconds is the amount of lap time lost. So if Piastri pulls out an 18-second gap, then he can come into the pits, or he can pull out a 10-second gap, and then after that he'll have fresh soft tyres to go to the end of the race and overtake his teammate. But that's the question he's got to figure out now. Is it time to go full-on attack? Is it time to potentially try and stretch it? Hope that there's a safety car, because, it is wet conditions, very easy to make a mistake, and hope there's a safety car, drive behind the safety car for 4 or 5 laps, and then get to the end of the race because you don't do too many racing laps on them. Let me know what you think, folks. What do you think is the way forward for Oscar Piastri? Does he do a 2-stop? Does he come into the pits? Does he do a 3-stop? Does he do a 2-stop and come into a pits for a set of mediums, for a set of softs, or does he continue on with the set of mediums to the end of the race? It is hammer time. Indeed it is. He's within DRS range of Alexander Albon now. Albon is 1.5 seconds back from George Russell. So the gap 1.5 seconds there. And he's unable... Albon won't have any DRS. He won't have any slipstream. So he's a sitting duck for Lewis Hamilton. However, Hamilton will be on a wet setup. I've got to point this out. Because the formation lap happened right at the start of the race, they aren't allowed to change the setup after the formation lap. So Hamilton is operating on a fully wet setup, which means a lot of downforce, not enough top speed. So he's definitely going to need the DRS to get this overtake done. Alexander Albon, on the other hand, will be on a partially wet, partially dry setup. And that is going to be key for him staying ahead of Lewis Hamilton. He's going to have the extra little bit of top speed to defend with. And then, of course, he can use the overtake button as well. So... Hamilton made great progress at the start when the conditions were wet. He was the first driver to time it and switch onto the mediums, the experience coming through there. But now his car's been set up for wet conditions, and he's in a dry race. So it's a tough one for Hamilton, and we'll see how his progress. Does it stall? Does it continue on? Does he go backwards? Charles Leclerc with the fastest lap of the race, 1:47.5, 4 tenths quicker than Hamilton on the previous lap. Leclerc's chasing on Norris and Piastri. Indeed he is. He's got a dry setup. In fact, he's got a drier setup than Piastri and Norris, which means that he has a good shot at closing up. We know the McLarens are in another league. They've got loads of pace advantage. But if Leclerc can close that gap up, then he'll still have a shot against Lando Norris, especially on his hard tyres, which I can imagine. If for whatever reason Leclerc can force Lando Norris off onto a damp patch, that's going to put his tyre temperatures through the floor, and then Norris is going to struggle to warm them up again, and it could be sort of this repeating cycle of just losing temperature, going slowly, losing temperature, going slowly, and yeah, could really struggle there. So if Leclerc wants to get ahead and stay ahead of Lando Norris, he's got to force him onto the damp part of the circuit, whereas hard tyres are really going to feel the pain. Bearman purple in the first sector due to a nice little slipstream from Yuki Tsunoda, and Piastri 8.8 seconds up in the lead. Lando Norris, fastest lap of the race, 0.3 quicker than his teammate, 146.9. Aston Martin is so depressing. Indeed it is, folks. It's not ideal, really. Alonso will be on a wet setup. Stroll will be on a half intermediate, half wet. Half intermediate and half dry, but Stroll is lacking pace today. Ocon is down in 20th. I don't know what happened to him, but clearly some sort of big issue, maybe a pit stop blunder. I totally missed what happened, so if you know what happened, then do let me know. All right. It was told to Lando that Oscar will go to the end on those tyres. Okay, so that's interesting facts. And Oscar's going to try and extend out this stint. If we look at what Pirelli say you could do around about 25 laps or so on the medium tyres. Probably a little bit more. But 30 laps is cutting it close. But the added benefit that they have is that, of course, the tyre temperature is low. And because the tyre temperature is low, you could potentially get away with it. Yeah, Pirelli recommend 22 laps, 22 to 28. So he's stretching it, but he can do it. Okay, we've got 40,000 people watching here. Thanks everyone for tuning in, by the way. Very much is appreciated. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Hope you guys are enjoying the coverage. And I'll be commentating next weekend's race in Hungary. Hungary was going to be absolutely mega as well. So be sure to tune in for that one. Look forward to seeing all of you guys there. Yeah, the race is going to be really, really good in Hungary. We've got a few DRS zones added together, and that makes the racing brilliant. So, yeah, Lando Norris, fastest lap of the race, 146.8, and it's 8.5 seconds back from his teammate. But if both drivers are going to the end, then who knows what happens. Hamilton unable to close up to the back of Albon. See, this is what I said. He's on the dry setup. He's on the wet setup. Sorry, Albon on the dry, and yeah, things aren't going so well, are they? The red dash, folks, the red dash is where the sector starts and finishes. So this here is the end of Sector 1. This is the end of Sector 2. And, yeah, pretty self-explanatory. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What's up with Yuki? I don't know. I think he just lost a few places in the pit stops. And then I can't remember what happened there. Then he lost a few positions in the pit stops and then just got overtaken as well. Just not enough pace. He has got the upgraded floor. So if you were watching the FP1 stream or the Sprint Quali stream, I said that Tsunoda had the downgraded floor. He did at that point, but now that has changed. Tsunoda, after the end of the sprint race, they told the team principal told the engineers to put on the new floor for Yuki Tsunoda. So Tsunoda's with the new floor. Antonelli purple in the first sector, very nice. He's got a toe off Colapinto, and he's looking to close up that gap into the Les Combes chicane. Sorry, not into Les Combes chicane, into Blanchimont and the bus stop. Charles Leclerc is 6 seconds off the back of Lando Norris. That is, that gap has gone up from 5 seconds. So, yeah, Leclerc's not catching up to the McLarens. They are in another league, as we already knew. They've just been trading fastest laps between the two drivers. Lando Norris, a 146.344. He's going to try and close up to Oscar Piastri, but the thing is, he's on the harder tyres, which means in the first half of the stint, he will not be as quick as Piastri. But in the second half of the stint, he will be quicker because the medium tyres are going to wear out faster and faster and the hard tyres aren't. So, yeah, towards the end of the race, we will get a battle probably between Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris. I can't guarantee it, of course, but that's what I think is going to happen. Going into turn 5, I think they're switching positions on the kick Saubers. Bortoletto gets ahead of Hulkenberg, and team orders there down at kick Sauber. I think Bortoletto's got a little bit more pace, so they've opted to swap them around. Here comes Kimi Antonelli then. Going down the Camel Straight, trying to overtake Franco Colapinto, who's driving over the wet patch. Colapinto's on the dry patch. Will Antonelli be able to keep the car under control? Yes, he will. Nicely done from Kimi Antonelli, and through into P15. Very nice, very nice. How is Piastri so far ahead? Piastri, because he was in the lead of this race, he gets priority over Lando Norris for the pit stops. So he came into the pits first. Lando Norris had to wait a lap, and because he had to wait a lap, he lost 2 seconds on the lap itself because he was on the wrong tyre, and then his pit stop was also slow, so he lost a further second there. And then Piastri already had a gap. And then the other thing was Piastri warmed up his medium tyres quicker than Norris warmed up his hards. Also, folks, there's a glitch in the system today. I don't know why this has happened, but this is not the most recent tyre here. Normally, the leftmost tyre is the most recent tyre, but the tyre that you see here in the middle is the tyre that the drivers are on, and this is the actual tyre age of the tyre. And apart from Esteban Ocon, for whatever reason, Ocon's one works properly, and he's out on... and the leftmost one is the correct one for Ocon, but for everyone else, it's the middle column that is the correct tyre age. Carlos Sainz 55, I'll be going to Hungary and Monza too. Oh, well, that's perfect. Well, I guess you can stay a moderator then, because if you're going to be in the Hungarian Grand Prix, I've checked the forecast for Hungary, to be fair, and it's totally dry. There's quite a bit of heat expected, actually, in Hungary, but still, we've had some fantastic racing there, and the pit stop strategies there, 2 stops, maybe even 3 stops, depending on safety cars and stuff. It's a great race to go to, so yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And I hope all of you folks also tune in as well. Should be absolutely mega. Okay, what else have we got going on then? So I'm going to have a quick sip of water. My throat is really hurting, actually. But yeah, we are halfway into this race now. 21 laps completed of 44, so just one more lap left and they'll be exactly halfway. And what is Piastri saying over the radio? Oscar, what are you doing? It looks good. It's a really a call of whether we can try to get to the end on this tyre or we consider pit stop for another one. At the moment, we think we'll try to get to the end. And Piastri says, I can feel a little bit of deg already, so I think it'll be tough to get to the end. Ooh. So, folks, don't leave the stream just yet. Oscar Piastri doesn't think that he can get to the end of the race. You know, maybe he's just faking it. You know, like Hamilton did all those years ago, where it's like, Bono, my tyres are gone, which probably meant Bono, my tyres are fine. But, you know, as a code word, it would be, Bono, my tyres are gone. And, you know, maybe Piastri's playing games. Maybe he's like... Because if he says that and then the other half of the garage believe that, tell that to Lando Norris, Norris isn't going to push. He's not going to try and close the gap up to Piastri. He's just like, oh, Piastri will come into the pits and then I'll defend and then I'll get the race win. Easy peasy, job done. I win the race. However, Piastri could just be playing mind games here. He could be saying, oh yeah, I don't think I'm going to get to the end, such that Lando Norris doesn't push and then Piastri isn't like under too much pressure to make it to the end of the race. Yeah, Oscar is good on tyres, so, you know, maybe he's messing about. It'll be interesting to see. Yeah, it's come over the radio again. I mean, it's the medium still going okay, so it's difficult to know at the moment, but I don't know. Okay, understood. So that's what the engineer said, okay, understood. But yeah, Piastri, he's still not sure. We have got Stroll overtaking Colapinto here, just towards the Camel Straight they go, and Colapinto goes to the inside, Stroll to the outside, but 345 kilometers per hour for Lance Stroll, and he breezes past Franco Colapinto like it's nothing. So nicely done there. Stroll up to 16th, Colapinto 17th, Sainz 18th. Okie dokes. DRS has been enabled for quite a while, but yeah, great overtaking from the midfield pack. Tsunoda's onto the back of Gasly. Piastri with the fastest lap of the race, so clearly his tyres aren't gone. Yeah, this is exactly what we see from Lewis Hamilton. He would say, Bono, my tyres are gone, and then would set the fastest lap of the race. So, you know, Oscar Piastri is learnt lessons from a 7-time world champion. Okay. Yeah, 22 laps remain of this race. Here we go, folks. A safety car would really spice things up great. Well, we are having a bit of a squabble in the mid-pack, aren't we? Gasly versus Tsunoda versus Behrman versus Ocon versus Antonelli. So, anything can happen. And one driver slightly late on the brakes, have a little crash, game over, and safety car's out. So who knows? All right. Yeah. The blasting through towards La Source now is that mid-pack between Gasly and Stroll, and it's pretty close there, pretty close. Ooh, Sainz over the radio. The medium tyre is degrading fast. That is what Carlos Sainz is saying. Of course, the Williams and the McLaren are two different teams, two different tyre. So they're using the same tyre, but we know the McLaren is very good on their tyres. They can manage the temperature so well in those hot races. I'm sure it'll be a breeze in these cold races. So, maybe Sainz is struggling with the mediums. Also because he's in the dirty air of Colapinto for a little bit now. So maybe that's a problem as well. Okay. How do you think Max will win? Well, I don't personally think Max will win. He is unable to overtake Leclerc. Leclerc's just got the dry setup, really, and Max Verstappen with a bit more of a wet setup. Not that he's not got the top speed to get past Leclerc. He could have done it in the wet. There was one occasion where he could have sent one to the inside, but it would have been very, very risky. And apart from that, Max might be sitting there in fourth position for the rest of the race. George Russell doesn't seem to be catching up to him, and Leclerc doesn't seem to be going anywhere either. What happened to Hadjar? He's spun, clearly. They haven't actually shown it on the race replay, or maybe I missed it. But I think Hadjar spun, and that's why he's so far back. Oh, no, he pitted onto the hard tyres. That's what he did. Apologies, folks. Yeah, he came into the pits. He's on a set of hard tyres. So clearly his medium tyres were wearing out very, very quickly. He's come into the pit stops. He's come into the pits. And now he's got clean air. Look at this. He's got 16 seconds of clean air ahead of him. So he can push flat out. No worry about dirty air or anything like that. And he's going to try and undercut the rest of the pack, basically. He thinks that everyone else is going to come into the pits. All of the other medium tyre runners are going to come into the pits. So he's like, right, I'm going to come in early. I'm going to come on a fresh set of hard tyres. I'm going to just attack as much as possible, undercut the rest of the pack. So that's what Isaac Hadjar is trying to do. The AlphaTauri strategy or the Racing Bulls strategy, whatever they're called, hasn't been the best in the past. I don't know if this one's going to work. Okay, Antonelli in 15th position, purple first sector again. And how has he got a purple first sector? Because he's got a DRS train of 4 drivers ahead of him. Gasly, then Tsunoda, then Behrman, then Alonso, and then Antonelli. So huge DRS train, and that's why Antonelli's just gone purple in the first sector. He's got a slipstream of 4 drivers ahead of him. Okay. Is Leclerc pushing? Not particularly. His lap times are approximately half a second slower than Lando Norris, 0.2 slower than Oscar Piastri on the previous lap. So Norris, though, has just set fastest lap. Now they're trading fastest laps. We've seen this happen before, haven't we? The McLaren's out in front, just trading fastest laps between each other. And Why is Hamilton told to lift and coast? He's been told to lift and coast because they were expecting a full wet race. And normally when it's a full wet race, the drivers spend less time at full throttle. Here in Spa, in dry conditions, you spend 70% of the lap at full throttle. In wet conditions, it's more like 60, 50, or maybe not 50, but more like 60, and it's slightly lower, essentially. And that means less time at full throttle means you need less fuel in the car. So Hamilton's car was designed for a fully soaked wet race because they saw that thunderstorm approaching. So he's got the full wet setup. He's got slightly less fuel in the car, and lo and behold, it's now dried up. Hamilton is at full throttle for a lot longer than the team expected, so now he's been told to lift and coast. Carlos Sainz, 55 in the chat, has said it's drizzling a little bit, so maybe the rain's coming back. Maybe it's swinging back to the favour of the drivers on wet setups, but currently drizzling down the Kemmel Straight, according to our weather reporter on the track, Carlos Sainz, 55. All right, well, this is interesting, isn't it? Okay. Well, we'll figure out if the drizzle is actually affecting lap times, because we'll see the majority of the screen here move towards yellow lap times. In improving conditions, in these dry conditions, typically you see a lot of green, a lot of purple. The first sector isn't something that you should really be looking at, because the first sector is, of course, you're just flat out for the majority of it. And if you got a toe at any point in your race, the rest of your first sectors are always going to be yellow. So don't look at the first sector. The middle sector is the one to keep your eyes peeled on. So if you can go green in the middle sector, then the circuit's improving, you're improving. Yellow means the rain is slowing you down. So we'll see. Lando's picking up the pace. Indeed he is. Yeah, I think he's realised that Oscar is going to go to the end of the race, even though, he was saying, oh, my tyres are bad, I'm not sure. So he's got 19 laps to close up an 8-second gap. Yuki should make a move. He's losing about half a second a lap. Yeah, he's stuck behind Gasly. I don't know how he's managing to stay behind. Well, Gasly, if I remember correctly, yesterday is using a dry setup. His top speeds are pretty good. As you can see, they're second place through the speed traps, 319 kilometers per hour. I think Tsunoda went 318, but that's with the help of a toe. So Gasly is 319 kilometers per hour without a toe. Tsunoda 318 with a toe. So yeah, I mean, that just shows it to you, isn't it? Tsunoda's got a little bit more of a dry setup, a wet setup. Gasly was running pretty low downforce for the race tomorrow, for the quali yesterday. I mentioned it, in fact, during the stream. I was like, that seems a little bit risky with such a lot of rain on the forecast, but it's paid off for Gasly, and that's why he's holding up the DRS rain. Everyone else behind him, Alonso and Antonelli specifically, I said there at the top of the screen here, Hamilton, Alonso, Antonelli, they all start from the pit lane with setup changes. Those are wet setup changes. So how Alonso and Antonelli now, they're using a wet setup, unable to get overtakes done because they've just got too much downforce on the car. Yeah. F1 Gamer, the drizzle is getting a little heavy. Well, thank you very much, Carlos Sainz. 55. Yeah, I should make sure to say the 55. Otherwise, it looks like I'm actually saying Carlos Sainz, the driver himself. But yeah, so the rain getting heavier. Lando's made a mistake on the previous lap, dropped back to 9 seconds back. The gap was 7.5, and now it's up to 9 seconds. A huge mistake through the middle sector for Lando Norris. And if the rain's picking up, then that sort of explains the mistake that's just happened. Okay, yeah, just a little twitch. But even then, a twitch in a fast-flowing section of the circuit, if you have a twitch, let's say, going through Puon, right, just going through here, you're flat out all the way to the left-hand chicane, so you're carrying less speed through here. Then again, you still continue losing time through here, and then at this point, maybe turn number 14, you stop losing time. So that's where a little twitch can cost you quite a bit of time. Okay, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Folks, if you haven't hit the like button and subscribe, be sure to do so. Very much does help out the channel. Hopefully we can get to 186k subs. We are, 433 subscribers away, so be sure to hit the subscribe button there. And hopefully we can hit 186 today. That'd be very nice. Putting us on track for 200 in 3 races time, I think. Yeah. 3 or 4 races time. Carlos Sainz into the pit. Sainz also, yeah, he said he was struggling with the medium tyres. He was not lying on that occasion. Into the pits on the hards, and he's going to the end of the race. Kimi Antonelli gets the overtake done on Fernando Alonso. Both drivers on a wet setup, but Antonelli got a great run. I'm suspecting used quite a bit of overtake as well to get ahead of Fernando Alonso. So nicely done, and we've got the 2 Astons in 15th and 16th place. Oh, Lando almost spun Radion. Yeah, I see. That's why he lost a second and a half. Because through Radion he goes, and yeah, you're flat for the next to the Kemmel straight. So yeah, that's why you lost a bunch of time. Fair enough. Okay. Also, folks, if we hit 186k subs, I'll be doing a Surfshark giveaway. So any of you folks can watch the Formula One for free. If you win the giveaway, if you don't win the giveaway, you can watch it for $2 a month. There's a link in the description, folks. Surfshark VPN. You join a Swiss VPN server. You search SRF, which is free, and then you make an account, log in, which is also free, and then you just and then you can watch Formula One, essentially. The only thing you have to pay for is Surfshark VPN. There's a link in the description. If you guys are interested, go ahead and check it out. It does help out the channel, and yeah, very much is appreciated. Black and white flag for Carlos Sainz for track limits. Yeah, clearly his medium tyres were wearing out pretty quick, and that's why he's come into the pits for a set of hards. Lance Stroll makes a pretty big mistake there, going through the Reconnaissance chicane, misses his braking point over the escape road he goes, and the runoff, and he's dropped back off his teammate. Carlos Sainz 55, it's slightly drizzling. Okay, so just light rain all over the circuit, and I think that sort of explains why we're not seeing huge improvements in lap times. We're still in the 145s. We could reduce slightly further, but if there's still a little bit of drizzle, that's why we're seeing a lot of this yellow middle sector. Lando Norris, fast lap of the race. He's dipped into the 145s. Everyone else still in the 146s. But, Norris is pushing again. He's trying to close that gap up. He's got 16 laps to close up a 9-second gap. It's going to be tough. But, if Piastri makes a mistake just like Norris did, then it's possible for sure. F1 Gamer, who do you think will be on the podium? It will probably be Piastri, Norris, Leclerc, but in some sort of different order. Maybe I think Verstappen's actually get closed up a little bit on Leclerc, because Verstappen may have a wet setup and Leclerc may have a little bit more of a dry oriented setup, and he'll have the top speed advantage. But in terms of tyre wear, Verstappen may be doing slightly better than the Ferrari, because the Ferrari just never really that good on the tyres. So Charles Leclerc will be struggling on the tyres. As we get into the latter stages of this race, Verstappen not so much. So there's a chance later on for Verstappen to get up onto the podium. So we'll wait and see what happens there. F1 Gamer, who are on all wet setups, it's Hamilton, Alonso, Antonelli and Sainz. They're on full wet setup. And we've just had Colapinto come out of the pits. He's on a fresh set of mediums to go to the end of the race on. Okay, yeah, what else is going on the race then? We have got, who's gained the most positions? Lewis Hamilton up 11 positions. Folks, who is your driver of the day? Is it going to be Lewis Hamilton? Is it going to be Kimi Antonelli for going up 5 places? Or is it going to be someone else? Nico Hülkenberg, 14th to 10th, scoring points. I don't know. Who is your driver of the day? Albon has been defender of the day. I think that's a pretty good way to put it. He has been defending against Hamilton for quite a while now. Hamilton's now got back within DRS range, so let's see what Hamilton can do. 8/10 is the gap as they head up Eau Rouge, through Raidillon, and through the Kemmel Straight. All right. Yeah, I mean, I think fair enough for Lewis Hamilton. Up 11 positions is a really good race for him. Really good bounce back. Albeit it may not be on the podium, it's barely into the points in 7th position, but still a really good comeback from what his weekend has been so far. And it's pretty difficult. First 2 days in a row you get knocked out of Q1 when you're used to when you're the driver that's got the most race wins in Formula One history. Like sometimes you start to doubt yourself. You're like, have I got the skill anymore? Is the Ferrari car just terrible? Am I not able to drive it? And all of these things going around your mind. But being able to put that out of your mind and being able to focus on just driving the car and doing what you do best is pretty difficult. So I've got to good props there for Lewis Hamilton for being able to find his feet in such a short turnaround time. We see a lot of drivers get flustered, have a string of 2 or 3 bad races, and then they need like a summer break or a winter break to find their feet again and to go quickly. But Hamilton done it overnight, so huge respect. All right. Tsunoda's still stuck behind Gasly. Nothing new there. Antonelli's trying to get ahead of Behrman, but obviously Behrman's got DRS on Tsunoda ahead of him, so that's pretty tough. And yeah, Norris, we got a replay from lap 26 where he made that mistake, and just a little twitch as he went over the curb, went wide over the circuit as well, and lost a bunch of lap time. Yeah, Verstappen's pushing there, as you can see, green sectors in all three of them, and he's trying to catch up to the back of Leclerc now. But Leclerc's also picked up the pace. He can see in his mirrors how far back Verstappen is, and he can push accordingly. Carlos Sainz 55, who was our weather reporter at the circuit, has said the drizzle has stopped, so no more rain at the circuit of Spa-Francorchamps. Carlos Sainz, purple in the middle sector, is on a fresh set of hard tyres. That is to be expected. Some nice pace there, but of course down in 18th position. Not ideal to say the least. Kimi Antonelli into the pits as well. 14 laps left, folks. 14 laps is a long time, especially around Spa. Spa, the longest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar. An entire one lap of Spa is 7 kilometres. So 14 laps, I mean, what's that? Like 94? No. 98 kilometres. 98 kilometres of racing. That's still 1/3 of the race left to go. And Piastri's already done 18 laps on his tyres, so it's going to be close. We've seen a lot of drivers on the mediums decide that the mediums aren't good enough and come into the pits. And those, we've had 5 drivers so far: Antonelli, Alonso, Sainz, Colapinto, and Hadjar. So I guess we'll see what happens there. Okie dokes. Hamilton and Albon close? Yeah, they are. But still, Albon with that top speed advantage, what can I tell you? Very, very nicely done. And the gap up at the front, 8.2 seconds. Norris isn't closing that one up unless Piastri's tyres fall off a cliff. But with track temperatures at 24 degrees, with the history that the McLaren and Oscar Piastri especially have with tyre management, I don't expect that really to be happening. F1 Gamer, do you think the Ferrari upgrades work? Yes, I do. We haven't seen the full outcome of performance from Lewis Hamilton. We saw a great comeback through the field, but Leclerc managing to stay in third ahead of Max Verstappen, firstly. Secondly, only 10 seconds back from Lando Norris is a huge, huge improvement, because previously the Ferraris were consistently losing half a second, 0.6 of a second to the McLarens, and on this occasion, with the new upgrades, it's not, the gap isn't that big. I think also Leclerc hasn't had the sort of confidence issues that he's been having, or not confidence issues, sort of trust issues in the grip of the car, because sometimes the grip's there, sometimes it's not. Now it's been a little bit more consistent, which allows the drivers to go close to the limit. And yeah, so I think those upgrades for Ferrari have been a positive change in the right direction, but maybe it's just a little bit too late. And I mean, looking at the Constructors' Championship, I'll just put the championship standings up on the screen here, folks. Wait, let me just make it ever so slightly smaller so everything fits on the screen there, and you can see that once it scrolls around to the Ferrari team, you'll see Ferrari is still second in the Constructors. They're not really under any sort of threat from Mercedes. And if we look at the Drivers' Championship, they're not close to fighting for a world championship. So does it really matter in the end? Not really. Piastri will be gaining, if it stays this way, Piastri gains 25, Norris gains 18, Verstappen gains 12. So that championship gets extended even further from 69 points to 80. 82 points. And yeah, Ferrari just so far ahead. It's not even any sort of debate. So, not so far ahead. They're just ahead of the Mercedes. They're pretty comfortable. So they're not going to do any more upgrade packages to the end of the season, probably, just to keep all focus on 2026. But I'll get rid of this constructor standing soon enough, and it's just going to be, it looks like another potential McLaren 1-2 as well. Ferrari getting 21 points, Mercedes gaining 10, Red Bull getting 12. Hulkenberg into the pits, and yeah, those medium tyres not working well enough for him. So maybe, Lando Norris has got this one under control. Piastri's tyres are going to fall off, and Lando Norris is going to take the race win. I guess we shall wait and see. Okie dokes, 39,000 people watching the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in and coming along. Hope to see you guys along for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's next weekend, so not long now till we have another race. So it should be good fun. Okay, they come over the radio to Piastri. Degradation looks as expected. We still think it'll be best going to the end on this tyre, and Piastri copy. I'm happy with that. So, looks like it's confirmed. Piastri is going to the end on these set of tyres, and Lando Norris has got a 7-second gap to close up if he wants to win this race. And he's got 11 laps to do so. F1 game, I'll be there too. Indeed, you will, Carlos Sainz. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the Hungarian Grand Prix as well. Currently at the Belgian Grand Prix, should be good. Got a lot of travelling to do then. Okay. Antonelli with the fastest lap of the race, very nicely done. Obviously, it's a fresh set of tyres helping out, but regardless, some good pace. Albeit it's down in 16th position, not where he wants it to be. And yeah, we've had some light drizzle pass over the circuit, and there's some more drizzle approaching, I think, according to the weather radar. But it's nothing heavy enough to warrant intermediate tyres. So yeah, don't worry about that too much, folks. Will Oscar Piastri pit? No, it's just been confirmed over the radio. Unless something goes catastrophically wrong, of course. Hamilton unable to close up on Alex Albon. Yeah, it's not ideal there for Lewis. And I've also got to say, this the overtakes have gone drastically down as soon as the rain has stopped. And I've got to say, the FIA should have just started the race in the wet conditions right at the start. I still stand by my what they did on the race restart, where they did a couple of laps behind the safety car, then did a rolling race start. They most certainly should have done that. Maybe even 4 laps behind the safety cars, 5 laps. That would have cleared it up, because the rain wasn't that intense at that point. It got a lot more intense later on, but with the cars already on the track, that would have been a non-issue. So, we've got Nico Hulkenberg here trying to get ahead of Esteban Ocon, and he does so very nicely. Yeah, smooth overtake there for Hulkenberg, and he gets it done into the Les chicane. F1 game. Have you seen the F1 movie? Any thoughts? Yeah, I quite like the movie. It's it's not the it's not a movie that's going to go into the top 10 list of greatest movies ever. However, I thoroughly enjoyed the 2.5 hours in the cinema that I watched it. So yeah, I would really recommend watching it. I still think it is still in cinemas right now. So if you guys are interested in watching the F1 movie, I would recommend. And with all of the music and with all of the with all of the music and the full speaker setup that you get in the cinema, like it's really immersive. Like there are some films that you can just watch on your computer at home when it gets released on Apple TV, or Netflix or whatever. But this one's one of the good ones to watch at a cinema. And yeah, we haven't had any Plan C for chaos. That's the other thing. No Plan C for chaos this race. Not a single DNF as well. I predicted that 3 of the rookies would DNF due to the wet conditions, but no. In Formula 1 history, we've had, I think now, 17 Grand Prix, 16 Grand Prix without a single DNF. And, we've got 10 laps left to go, so maybe I'm speaking a little too soon. But we could be adding another one to the tally. At least cars are not getting lapped. Well, maybe you said that a little bit too soon. Isaac Hadjar is not that far away from Oscar Piastri. Yeah. How can the Williams defend? The Williams can defend from the pure outright top speed advantage that they've got. Albon is, 18th in the speed traps, 314 kilometers per hour. But Hamilton, doesn't have the top end speed. He'll have a good acceleration through the corners. Oh, Antonelli around the outside of Ocon. Ocon losing loads of positions here. And this is the thing, folks. Ocon didn't come into the pits. He is on 28 lap old medium tyres, and they're wearing out. Antonelli just breezed past him, really. Oh wait, no. Antonelli lost the position again. Oh, never mind. I must be not paying attention. Wait, let's look at this replay. He was going to the inside, the Les chicane, and Ocon went to the inside. Antonelli tried to go around the outside, and couldn't carry the speed through the corner. Just didn't have enough grip, and Ocon re-overtook him. Apologies there, folks. But either way, what I'm saying is that the medium tires are now wearing out. They're at that stage where they're really, really slowing down. So Ocon didn't have a fresh set of medium tires, so he actually when he came into the pits for mediums, he came out on a used set that he did, I think SQ1 on. He did 4 laps in SQ1, and so he's got that used set of tires, which is the problem. And yeah, under pressure from Kimi Antonelli, maybe the next lap will be another overtake. Yeah. Up at the front, what is the gap looking like? Verstappen still 2.5 seconds back from Leclerc, unable to put any sort of real attack on Leclerc. Leclerc, every single time Verstappen tries to close the gap, Leclerc just comfortably extends it out in front. Because, Verstappen has to contend with the dirty air. Leclerc, not so much. Look at that huge gap that he's got from himself to Lando Norris. I say huge, but it's only 12 seconds. And, previous Grand Prix, we've seen that extend out to 30. So it's an improvement to say the least. Alrighty. Yeah, here we go, folks. We're only 190 subscribers away. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, folks, be sure to do so. You'll just get, I think, well, depending on if you have notifications on or off, you'll get a notification on when I go live for the races, for the practice sessions. And yeah, be sure to tune in. Looks good. Yeah, looks good. Okay. Current vote split for driver of the day: Lewis Hamilton 38%, Oscar Piastri 12%, Charles Leclerc 12%. Looking pretty good there for Lewis Hamilton. And fair enough, really. Up 11 positions in that Ferrari, which he was having such a bad weekend in, is pretty incredible. That William is monstrous on the straights. Exactly. Hamilton doesn't have the top end speed. He can keep up with Albon with the help of a slipstream, but without the help of a slipstream, he can't get the overtake done. And he can keep up. He can barely keep up with the help of a slipstream. That's the thing. He's nowhere near to actually gaining on Albon with the help of a slipstream. And look at that. He's dropped off the back. 1.1 seconds is the gap. He's probably going to try and cool his tyres down a little bit, because now they're all going to be suffering from quite a bit of tyre wear. Lando Norris, however, will not be. And you can see that. The gap down to 6.3 seconds. So he's closing that gap up. And if we look at the previous lap, he closed up, 6/10 of a second? Yeah, 6/10 of a second on the previous lap. So he's still not gaining rapidly enough to close up to Piastri at the end of the race, but, he is gaining. And Oscar's just said difficult to know. Mediums still feel pretty good. So he's saying that maybe Oscar's still got some pace left in the bank. He's just saving it. If Norris gets within 3 seconds, Piastri will put his foot down, clear the air, and we'll be up in the lead of the race. But we'll wait and see. He's got Hadjar up ahead of him, posing up potentially a little bit of traffic, but really not that much. Yeah. Last lap overtake, I mean, potentially. It really depends. If Hadjar holds up Oscar Piastri, potentially, but I don't really think that's going to happen. There's loads of overtaking opportunities here at Spa. Of course, it's a proper race circuit, so very, very wide. Also, folks, I would like to point out the Zandvoort Twitter account, so the Dutch Grand Prix Twitter account, accidentally leaked which races are going to be sprint races next year. And next year, we're going to have a sprint race at Singapore, which is, I think, very, very strange. Let me know what you think. Do you think that's a good idea to have a sprint race at Singapore? We've had good races at Singapore, but typically they come down to strategy. It's not out and out battling on the circuit, going side by side. It's a strategy game, and some drivers pushing, some drivers defending, and all of that stuff, which makes for some really good racing. But is a sprint race a good idea at Singapore? I don't think so. Okay. A lock-up for Charles Leclerc, losing a significant amount of time there. And Verstappen has closed up, ladies and gents. Charles Leclerc locks up, loses 0.8 of a second. Verstappen is so close to getting within DRS range. Okay, so now it's time to attack for Max Verstappen. He's got a potential overtake, potential podium, and he's just got to score as many points as he possibly can to just keep his championship hopes alive. Yeah. They come over the radio to Leclerc saying Verstappen 1.2 seconds, and Charles Leclerc says, "Leave me alone, please." Yeah, he adds the please on to the end, but, very similar to Kimi Raikkonen. I can have no information, and then when he's getting close, I have too much information. Leclerc's complaining over the radio. Keep it constant, don't worry. So yeah, Leclerc is now starting to feel the heat indeed. 1.2 seconds is the gap. Verstappen's got to use the overtake at the right time. He's got to time this stuff properly, and he's got to do his best to close up to Charles Leclerc. Okay. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. Leave me alone. Exactly. Yeah, the thing is, the drivers, especially the older drivers, they didn't get such constant, frequent radio messages, and they are very used to just looking in their mirrors and figuring out approximately how far back is the driver from them. So, Leclerc can very easily, I'm sure, look in his mirrors and just guess what the gap is, and it will be pretty accurate, to be honest. Yeah. Um. So here we go then. Max dropped off the back of Charles Leclerc. All right, Yuki versus Ollie. That's a little battle that's going on there, isn't it? But still, Sonoda's got DRS on Gasly. Sonoda's been staring at that Alpine rear wing for the entire race. Honestly, like, I'm sure he'll wake up tomorrow out of like a nightmare of just seeing, I think it's the BWT logo on the back of the Alpine rear wing, or maybe it just says Alpine. I'm not sure what it is, but he's going to have that Alpine rear wing just imprinted into his brain. He's been sat behind that car for so long. Tire history dead or something? No, the tire history is glitched. The actual information here is in the middle column rather than the leftmost column. Apart from the drivers that came into the pits, which are, I think, Antonelli, Alonso, Sainz, Colapinto, Hadjar. They're all out on these tires are representative for them, and then Hulkenberg also he came into the pit, so this is his tire. But for all of the drivers that just came out after the inters, there it's the middle column for them. All right, we are on lap 40 of 44. We have got 5 laps remaining here at Spa-Francorchamps. Piastri has cleared Isaac Hadjar very nicely. The gap down to 4.6 seconds, but I think Piastri is sort of managing the gap here. He knows that he doesn't need to push too hard. He can keep some pace in the bank in case Lando Norris gets too close. They come over the radio to Isaac Hadjar saying there are cells of rain developing around the circuit. We're keeping an eye on it. We'll let you know. But yeah, with 5 laps left to go, that's a total of 10 minutes, probably 8 minutes or something. So I wouldn't expect the rain to play too big of have too big of an impact right now. And yeah, it's down to 4 laps now. Carlos Sainz 55, it's drizzling again. Yeah, okay, I see it's drizzling again, but again, 8 minutes left of the race, so I don't really know. Not gonna lie, Max is washed. Well, I don't really know. The thing is with Max is that he has got a wet-oriented setup. Charles Leclerc's got a slightly less wet-oriented setup, so yeah, Leclerc's going to have the top speed, Verstappen not so much, and if Verstappen can't get within DRS, that's the big issue here. Leclerc can somehow carry more speed through La Source and still have lower downforce. I'm not sure, maybe it's the new Ferrari suspension, I don't know what it is, but Leclerc's rear traction is fantastic. And because of that, Verstappen can't get good enough traction out of La Source, and hence, through this DRS detection point here, he will not be within 1 second, doesn't get DRS down the Camel Straight, and then he's stuck behind Leclerc through the middle sector, just losing time because of dirty air through all of these fast corners. So that is the problem that Max Verstappen is facing. Yeah. Oscar keeping it cool, indeed he is. 4 seconds clear, 4 seconds advantage, but yeah, 4 laps left to go. Norris has got to drive like crazy to close that gap up. I mean, maybe he is going to close it in. I don't know. But Isaac Hadjar, the only driver to be lapped. And still, folks, we're yet to have a driver DNF. 4 laps left to go over this race. And that could add to the tally of races without DNFs in Formula 1 history. F1 Gamer, can you tell guys to consider subbing to me too? I mean, yeah, if people want to subscribe to Carlos Sainz 55, then sure. Okay, we've got 40,000 people watching the stream. Thanks everyone for hitting the like button. Thanks everyone for subscribing. We are, 55 subscribers away. Thanks everyone for tuning in. It's very much is appreciated. And if we hit 186k subs, I will do a Surfshark giveaway. Or the only thing you need to do to enter the giveaway is type F1 live into the chat. and you'll be entered into the giveaway, and I'll announce the winners next weekend at the Hungarian Grand Prix. So yeah, be sure to type that in if you guys are interested in winning. Okay, 3 laps left of this race, and we have got Oscar Piastri in first place. Weather update, there are a few, could be raindrops at turn 1 last couple of laps. Not currently expecting it, but not impossible to Oscar Piastri. So tiny little raindrops here and there, but with 3 laps left to go, it's not really a concern. So yeah, with 3 subscribers away, we hit 186k. So folks, I will do the giveaway. I'll just do a random name selector on the people that have typed F1 Live, and yeah, if you type, you just have to type it one time to enter the giveaway. Typing it multiple times isn't going to help. What's Lawson doing in P8? Lawson's just had a good drive, really. Sort of snuck under the radar, managed his medium tyres really well, and has driven pretty successfully. You know, he's had the help of course, Pierre Gasly behind him, keeping off quite a bit of the competition. You know, Behrman would have been pretty stiff competition for Liam Lawson, but because Gasly's held off Sonoda's held off Behrman, and Behrman's held off Hulkenberg, and it's all sort of just been this train. So Lawson very much helped out by Pierre Gasly. Okie dokes, we have got 2 laps remaining of this race, folks. Yeah, and also, folks, if it's not letting you type in the chat, all you've got to do is hit the subscribe button. You've got to wait for 1 minute, and then it'll let you type in the chat. Alrighty then, so here comes Kimi Antonelli on Esteban Ocon, down in 16th place, unfortunately, for Antonelli. Also, folks, what do you think? We're approaching the halfway summer break. You know, we've already had half of the race of the season. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, we'll have the summer break. Who would be your rookie of the season, or rookie of the first half of the season, at least? Who do you think it's going to be? I don't know. I'm not particularly sure, really. Hadjar's done brilliantly. Liam Lawson's had a great sort of recovery arc from his time at Red Bull. Antonelli's had his podium. Gabriel Bortoletto's been doing fantastically against Nico Hulkenberg in quali sessions. So yeah, it's all of the drivers have been doing quite well. So I don't know. I think we've got a good mix here. Hadjar, quite a lot of Hadjar, quite a bit of Antonelli as well. Obviously, Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is always up there. But Hadjar, not even a debate for me. Yeah, I think is Hadjar's had absolutely no experience going into this. You know, Lawson had some prior experience. Antonelli had some test time in the Mercedes car, and has been working quite closely with them. I'm sure Hadjar has been working quite closely as well, but I think Hadjar's performance has really been excelling. You know, hitting the ground running from the get-go. Antonelli took a couple of races to get going. Hadjar, of course, did have a bad start, but in Australia, but since then it's just been on the up really for him. So yeah. Anyway, folks, we are here on the last lap of the race, and Oscar Piastri, 5 seconds ahead of Lando Norris. Clearly, he had the pace in the bag, and it looks like he might also be going for fastest lap of the race here on the final lap, currently held by Kimi Antonelli, a 1:44.8. Oscar Piastri through the first sector. What is his first sector time? A 31.0. Of course, with no DRS, that's going to be difficult to go purple through there. Let's keep an eye out on his middle sector, though. I mean, he's got 31 lap old hard tyres. Maybe he doesn't want to risk it, you know? But yeah, Oscar Piastri, great overtake, of course, because, you know, he got that overtake done because Lando Norris used all of his battery on the safety car restart. He used all of his battery, didn't leave any for the Kemmel straight on the following lap. Oscar Piastri breezed past him, and ever since hasn't looked back. You know, Norris had the pit stop blunder. Piastri was up ahead, so he got pit stop priority. But no mistakes. You know, Norris has had twitches. He's had a little moment here and there. Oscar Piastri, flawless drive from him today. Very clean executed overtake on his teammate. No risk of contact, no nothing. Had a great drive out in the sprint quali. And yeah, now he's coming through Blanchimont and bus stop for the final time. 44 laps he has completed here in Spa-Francorchamps. 300 kilometers completed in that McLaren. Oscar Piastri comes out of the final corner, out of the bus stop chicane. He sees the checkered flag. He wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Great drive for Oscar Piastri. It's a McLaren 1-2 with Lando Norris in second place. Charles Leclerc is holding on there for third place. Can he keep it together ahead of Max Verstappen? Yes, he can. He's on the podium once again in Spa. Great to see Leclerc back on the podium. Max Verstappen in fourth position. George Russell in fifth. Albon has been holding off Lewis Hamilton for so long, and he has just got one braking zone left. Brilliant job there from Alexander Albon. And yeah, he held off Lewis Hamilton just through that final chicane, and that is Alex Albon in 6th position, Hamilton in 7th. Great recovery drive, clearly driver of the day for Lewis Hamilton. Liam Lawson in 8th, Gabriel Bortoletto in 9th. We've got a nice little gaggle of cars. Gasly, Behrman, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda. Tsunoda's in 13th. Tsunoda dropped back, actually. I think Tsunoda lost some places because he was stuck behind Gasly, staring at his rear wing. I think he clearly had enough of it. Lost a position to Behrman and Hulkenberg, and yeah, dropped down to 13th, unfortunately. Gasly gets the final points paying position, and it's 10th for him. Behrman and Hulkenberg in 11th and 12th. Tsunoda 13th. Stroll 14th. Ocon is 15th. Antonelli 16th. Alonso 17th. Sainz 18th. Colapinto 19th and Hadjar 20th. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is the 18th Grand Prix in Formula 1 history without a single DNF, and that too a wet race in Spa. So pretty good race there. You can see the point standings. Piastri extends his lead up. He's now 15 points ahead of Lando Norris, and yeah, McLaren are so far ahead in the constructors it doesn't even matter. Another 1-2 finish for them. So yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. I hope to see you all in 1 week's time for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We're going to have a brilliant race there. So much strategy options. I think Pirelli are bringing an interesting combination of tyres as well, which is going to make the session, going to make the racing all the much better. So hope to see all of you then. It's in 1 week's time, and it's in approximately the same time the Spa race started. So yeah, hope to see you all then. I'm going to end the stream now. I'll take you over to the Hungarian Grand Prix stream. If you could hit the like button and the reminder button on that, it really does help out the channel. Like, the YouTube algorithm loves it, and very much would be appreciated. Hopefully we can continue on towards 200k. So Antonelli almost spun. Oh, maybe he did actually. I totally missed that. They weren't showing Antonelli on the TV broadcast, but he made it through into 16th. And yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for listening to the podcast commentary in the middle. And yeah, it's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. Just hit the reminder button, the like button on the Hungarian Grand Prix stream. Really helps out the channel. Oscar Piastri takes the race win. And yeah, what a race at Spa. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I will see you in 1 week's time for the race in Hungary.